Chapter 951. Heh. What's wrong? Liu Yang, do you know them? Zhu Hanhan looked at Jin Liu Yang in surprise and asked curiously. How many spirit stones is the commission for this mission? Jin Liu Yang asked in astonishment. 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones. You know that if it weren't for you, our family wouldn't be able to form a small chamber of commerce, Zhu Hanhan said as she held her arm. 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones? Hanhan, your luck is really good. Jin Liu Yang said somewhat speechlessly. What's wrong? Zhu Hanhan looked at him in surprise. That young man is the leader of the Immortal Phoenix Mercenary Group, the king of the Holy Sea Town Mercenary Group. Not long ago, the monsters of Holy Sea Town attacked the city, and that young man killed everyone. During the monster siege, the Fairy Phoenix Mercenary Group destroyed the Mirage Sea Mercenary Group, which was a 5-star silver mercenary group. Their leader was a level 6 transcendent. Then, they destroyed the Knife Scar Mercenary Group. The Knife Scar Mercenary Group was once the strongest mercenary group in Holy Sea Town. Their leader, Knife Scar, was a level 7 transcendent. That young man is very mysterious. At such a young age, he has 2 attributes, wood and fire. He is a monster and a prodigy. Since you are able to hire them, it must be because the Demon Hunters Academy is about to start its semester. He is heading to Donghai City to enroll. Jin Liu Yang introduced him to Zhu Hanhan. This. Zhu Hanhan widened her eyes. So powerful. Doesn't that mean that I have gained a huge advantage? What do you think? Jin Liu Yang's eyes were sparkling as she stared at Wang Xian. Her eyes were filled with shock. Such a prodigy was unstoppable even in the entire Star Moon Kingdom, not to mention the genius disciples in their academy. Compared to him, they were miles apart. Liu Yang, looking at the way you worship him, don't tell me you have fallen in love with him? Zhu Han clicked her tongue slightly. When she saw Jin Liu Yang's expression, she suddenly said mockingly. Such a young prodigy, even I admire him. Jin Liu Yang didn't try to hide anything and said generously. That's true. If he's really as powerful as you say, all the beauties in Donghai City will pounce on him. Zhu Han said softly. A prodigy of a generation would attract countless beauties. This was a world of powerhouses. As long as one had the strength, it was normal to have multiple wives. Let's go and get to know each other. Jin Liu Yang hesitated for a moment before walking towards Wang Xian. Hello, Captain Wang. Just as Wang Xian was sitting and drinking tea, a female voice sounded. Wang Xian turned around and nodded at them. Hello. I've heard so much about you. Jin Liu Yang smiled and walked to the side before sitting down. I didn't expect that I would be able to hire such a powerful mercenary group like Xian Feng. Zhu Hanhan also smiled as she spoke to Wang Xian. Hehe, I'm heading to Donghai City as well. It's on the way too. Wang Xian smiled as his gaze swept across the 2 girls. Zhu Hanhan's looks were above average. Jin Liu Yang could be said to be a great beauty. With leader Wang's strength, if you were to enter Donghai City, even the prodigies of Donghai City would pale in comparison. I heard that you are going to enter the Demon Hunter Academy? Jin Liu Yang asked with a smile. Yes, I'm going to enter the Demon Hunters Academy to gain some experience. Wang Xian nodded his head. We are students of the Eastern Sea Academy. However, we have also joined the mercenary group of a senior from the Demon Hunters Academy. Is this your first time going to the Eastern Sea City? Is that so? This is my first time coming to the Eastern Sea City. 2 girls came over to chat with him. Wang Xian did not reject them and began to communicate with them. He didn't know anything about Donghai City. It was also his first time entering the city of the supernatural continent. He learned a lot from them. Han, this must be someone from the mercenary group, right? Let's go, we're leaving. More than half an hour later, a middle-aged man walked over and said to them. All right, let's go. We're leaving. The journey will take 7 days. Zhu Hanhan stood up and said to them. Wang Xian and the rest also stood up and walked out of the hiring association. Come. All the carriages, line up. Just as they walked out of the hiring association, there were shouts coming from outside. Wang Xian looked over and saw nearly 200 carriages lined up neatly in 2 rows. They looked very imposing. The Jew Chamber of Commerce will move your carriages to the last position. At this moment, 2 old men walked up to them and spoke directly to Zhu Han's father. What? Zhu Han's father was slightly taken aback. What's wrong? Didn't we draw lots and decide the order? Why are you asking us to go to the last position? All right. Isn't the last position pretty good? Hurry up and go if I ask you to go. The 2 old men stared at him and said with a sullen face. You. Good. Zhu Han's father nodded with a sullen face. What's wrong, father? Why did you let us be the last? Zhu Han saw it and quickly walked to her father's side and asked. Sigh, forget it. Let's be the last. The seats at the back are also okay. Father Zhu said with a sullen face, because of Miss Jin, we took down a batch of fierce beast corpses from the mayor's mansion and offended the ancient River Chamber of Commerce and the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce. They are somewhat against us. Originally, our fleet should be in the center of the lot drawing, but now, let's go. Father Zhu was a little unhappy as he spoke. These guys. Zhu Han glared at the 2 largest teams in the middle of the town angrily. Brother mercenary group, we are at the back of the caravan. It will be tough on all of you for the next 7 days. Father Zhu looked at Wang Xian and the rest. We just need to be vigilant. If we encounter any ferocious beasts, the entire caravan will be attacked by hundreds of mercenary group. Don't worry. We will escort you safely to Donghai City. Wang Xian nodded and said with a smile. All right. Thank you for your hard work. Let's get on the carriage. The 2 rows of caravans were 200 to 300 meters long. They were pulled by strong horses and many members of the mercenary group were following them on horseback. Father Zhu didn't say anything when he saw that they didn't have any horses to carry them. After all, they had only offered 50,000 spirit stones. It was already good enough for them to hire a mercenary group with extraordinary 5th rank expert. The Chamber of Commerce walked out of the south gate and headed toward East Sea City. It was already night time. Because they had to cross a swamp in 10 hours, they had to set off at night. During the day, they would arrive at that relatively dangerous area. All mercenary groups are responsible for their own region's problems. Especially the mercenary groups at the front and back. Be a good scout. At this time, an old man directly flew into the sky and ordered all the mercenary groups. He's the vice leader of the Spirit Beast mercenary group in East Sea City, a powerful existence at Transcendent 7th grade. We only need to be on guard. Hearing the voice of the old man in the sky, some of the mercenary groups whispered. Wang Xian gestured to a golden swordfish and asked him to follow behind. With Ao Yarrow and the rest around, Wang Xian wasn't worried at all. Chapter 952, Fierce Beast Emperor Crocodile. Hey! The vice leader of the Spirit Beast mercenary group in the sky watched the action of the mercenary group below. When he saw the last part of the mercenary group, he suddenly raised his eyebrows. With a glance, he moved his body and directly landed at the lowest position. Vice leader Ling, is there any problem with the vigilance? An old man asked cautiously. Don't worry, Elder Xiao. With our Spirit Beast mercenary group here, there won't be any problems. Haha, with Vice Leader Ling here, we'll be at ease. An old man next to him said with a smile. Hehe, right, Supervisor Du, we just encountered an interesting matter. That Immortal Phoenix mercenary group is at the back. Vice Leader Ling said with a smile. That mercenary group? At the back? The last one seems to be the small chamber of commerce that the Zhu family just established this year. The middle-aged man called Supervisor Du slightly raised his eyebrows. It should be right. I remember that their mercenary group's commission is only 50,000. Deputy Commander Ling said with a slight mocking tone. That mercenary group accepted a mission with a commission of 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones? Hehe, it's really interesting. I really can't imagine that a powerful mercenary group would accept such a mission. Supervisor Du's face darkened as he said coldly. I don't know why that mercenary group refused the mission back then, but I can confirm that the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group is a trash mercenary group. Vice Leader Ling said with a smile. Humph, If it weren't for that mercenary group, our Green Vine Chamber of Commerce wouldn't be unable to hire a mercenary group. Supervisor Du snorted coldly and looked at Elder Xiao who was beside him. This time, the small Jew Chamber of Commerce has stolen half of our resources. Elder Xiao, when should we take action? We can't take action openly. Let's wait until the Blackwater Swamp. That place is more suitable. Elder Xiao smiled and looked at Vice Leader Ling. As long as you give the order, we can take their dog lives at any time. Vice Leader Ling smiled sinisterly. Hee, okay. When the time comes, I want to see how powerful that 2-star gold mercenary group is. Haha, that's great. We'll have to rely on Vice Leader Ling then. The Chamber of Commerce drove quickly in an orderly manner. The dark night did not cause them too much trouble. Ju Han and Jin Liuyang sat in a carriage to rest while Wang Xian sat cross-legged in the carriage to cultivate. Father Ju scanned the surroundings. It was obviously his first time coming out. Leave the few small ferocious beasts to us. In less than 2 hours, the voices of a few members of the mercenary group came from the front. Many people who were resting were pleasantly surprised. A noisy voice came from the merchant group. Don't worry about the few small ferocious beast. At this moment, a voice came from the front. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and continued to rest. In the wild, one could encounter danger at any time. Due to the long journey, the road was rather flat. If one encountered a few ferocious beasts by chance, they would be quickly dealt with by the mercenary group. Wang Xian and the rest were at the back, so they didn't have to do anything. 10 hours passed quickly and the sun rose slowly. Rest for half an hour. Feed the horses and eat. Get ready. We are about to reach the Blackwater Swamp. Deputy Leader Ling's orders came from the front. As a level 7 extraordinary, he had the ability to command everyone. The Blackwater Swamp area is very dangerous. It is 2 dangerous places on our journey. There is a powerful ferocious beast, the swamp krak. If we go wrong there, we will easily fall into the swamp. Once we fall into the swamp, it will be very dangerous. Father Ju said to Wang Xian. He took out some food from his interspatial ring and said, Captain Wang, let's eat together. No need, I brought food. Wang Xian shook his head. Hee, Captain Wang cultivates the wood attribute. Help us to condense a table and chair. Ju Han and Jin Liuyang walked out and said to Wang Xian with a smile. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. With a wave of his arm, the grass on the ground grew rapidly and quickly condensed into a few tables and chairs. Impressive, Leader Wang's control is really strong. Father Ju gave him a thumbs up. Wang Xian smiled faintly and sat down directly. In other places, there were also people who condensed tables and chairs with the wood attribute. There were also people who condensed tables and chairs with the metal attribute and wood attribute. For extraordinary experts, it was very convenient to eat and rest in the wild. After resting for half an hour, the caravan continued to move forward. Soon, a Blackwater Swamp appeared in front of them. The entire boundless region was filled with pools of Blackwater. There were all sorts of plants growing on it. The entire region was extremely humid. There were no roads to speak of. The Blackwater Swamp covered an extremely large area. The best way to cross this area was to fly in the air. However, the caravan obviously couldn't fly over. Someone was scouting ahead. Moreover, there was a Blackwater imperial crocodile living in the Blackwater Swamp. This kind of creature was hidden in the swamp, and its entire body was pitch black. It was very difficult to discover. All mercenary groups send one person over to scout ahead. When they arrived in front of the Blackwater Swamp, Deputy Leader Ling's voice rang out as he spoke to everyone. Yes. All mercenary groups responded and sent out a member. Wang Xian also gestured to a golden swordfish. All of you scout ahead. You must be careful of the alligator hidden in the swamp. The merchant group entered the Blackwater Swamp and continued to move forward on the road with a large carrying capacity. However, their speed was much slower than before. It would take 2 days and 1 night to cross this Blackwater Swamp. The caravan traveled for 4 hours without any danger. Roar! Suddenly, a huge creature jumped up from the front. A terrifying 10-meter-long black monster suddenly rushed out of the Blackwater swamp. The Black Shadow's attack was extremely fast and fierce. Its mouth was actually 10 meters long. Before a member of the mercenary group could react, he was killed immediately. An extraordinary level 5 DA. Go and kill him. Whoever kills him will get his corpse. Let us do it. How dare you kill a member of our mercenary group? I want to avenge my brother. Following that, more than 10 mercenary groups flew over. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying sounds of collision rang out continuously. Wang Xian stood up from the carriage and looked over. He was about 10 meters tall and was covered in thick, shiny black skin. His huge head was extremely ferocious. It was similar to the sharks on Earth. However, the difference was that there was a huge black horn on the head of this alligator. Its limbs were extremely strong and it had a long, slender tail. Its entire body was filled with a terrifying destructive power. However, under the siege of the members of the mercenary group, huge wounds gradually appeared on the level 5 Overlord Krak. That's a 4-star silver-tier mercenary group in Donghai City. Their leader has the strength of a level 6 transcendent. Father Ju introduced to Wang Xian from the side. Wang Xian nodded. Looking at the Overlord Krak, a hint of doubt appeared on his face. The alligator was very strong among the same level. Chapter 953, Expelling. It had a huge body, a pitch-black body, and an earthen yellow belly. The crocodile's attribute was earth. When its huge body struck the ground, it was absolutely terrifying. Roar roar. However, this extraordinary level 5 crocodile slowly lost its life force under everyone's attacks. Put the crocodile away. Its thick skin can create a lot of inner armor. After killing the crocodile, the leader of the mercenary group kept it into his interspatial ring. Wang Xian scanned through the mercenary groups. Among these mercenary groups, the ones in Donghai City and the ones in Shanghai Town each accounted for about half of them. In comparison, the mercenary groups in Donghai City were obviously much stronger than those in Shanghai Town. As they continued forward, death appeared. This time, everyone was even more cautious. Caw caw, caw caw. After traveling for about 2 hours, everyone was watching their surroundings with tensed minds. Suddenly, loud noises came from the sky. Everyone's expression changed slightly as they hurriedly looked towards the sky. It's rotten crows, it's rotten crows. Damn it, we actually encountered these greedy things. There's a total of more than 200 of them. Unless we kill them, they'll always follow us. The experienced mercenary group's expression instantly turned ugly. Rotten crows liked to devour corrosive creatures. Of course, living creatures were also their targets. In the Blackwater swamp, there were some places where there was a black-toothed fish. Under normal circumstances, they would feed on the black-toothed fish. However, once the rotten crows encountered humans, they would constantly follow them and wait for an opportunity to make a move. They would only give up when they were full. Oh no, there are more than 200 rotten crows. Their appetite is very big. If we want to feed them, we will need a lot of food. Father Ju's face was slightly embarrassed as he stared at the rotten crows in the sky with a grave expression. Stop the carriage. All the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce, come over. A voice came from the center. Father Ju did not hesitate and walked towards the center. There were a total of 20 chambers of commerce. All the people in charge came to the center. This is troublesome. These damned carrion crows will cause all the chambers of commerce to lose a lot of spirit stones. Ju Han and Jin Liuyang got off the carriage. They frowned as they looked at the carrion crows circling in the sky. What should we do if we encounter such carrion crows? Wang Xian frowned as he looked at the carrion crows with their rotting bodies and blood-red eyes. A hint of disgust flashed across his eyes. There are more than 100 carrion crows at Transcendence Level 5. If we were to engage in a battle, the mercenary groups here would suffer heavy losses. Usually, there is only one way to deal with these carrion crows. Ask each chamber of commerce to take out their corpses and feed them. Once they are full, they can last for 2 days. 2 days is enough for us to leave this place, Ju Hanhan said to Wang Xian. Oh. Wang Xian nodded his head. He suddenly felt that he didn't know much about the supernatural continent. It seemed that entering the Demon Hunter Academy this time was the right choice. What? You want me to take out 30% of the corpses of ferocious beasts? Why do you want me to take out so many corpses of ferocious beasts? Suddenly, an angry voice was heard. Ju Hanhan's expression changed when she heard this voice. She quickly turned her head and looked over. Just take it out when I tell you to. Without us, how can a small chamber of commerce like yours travel to and from Shanghai town? A resounding and forceful voice was heard. An old man stared coldly at Ju Hanhan's father. How dare you bully my father? When Ju Hanhan saw this scene, her small face turned red instantly. She ran over angrily. Jin Liuyan's expression changed slightly as well. She quickly chased after her. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before following her. We formed a team of 20 chambers of commerce. We didn't take any less money. Why do you want me to take out 30% of the corpses of ferocious beasts now? You guys are going too far. Just as he walked over, he saw Father Ju glaring at the two old men in front of him angrily. Your Ju Chamber of Commerce obtained 100,000 fierce beast corpses from the mayor of St. Seatown this time. It's a great harvest. Of course, you have to pay more. The two old men looked at Father Ju indifferently and said coldly, What? They got the fierce beasts from the mayor's mansion? No way. In the past, it was the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce who got the bigger resources. I didn't expect that this Ju Chamber of Commerce, which I've never heard of before, actually got so many fierce beast corpses. I heard that the Ju Chamber of Commerce has only been established for a short period of time, and they were able to obtain hundreds of thousands of corpses of fierce beasts when they were transported to East Sea City. The words of the elder of the Xiao Chamber of Commerce instantly caused the eyes of the surrounding people to turn red. Little Ju, young people do business. If you want to expand your business, you have to make some concessions. Since you've obtained so much this time, so what if you take out some fierce beasts? Right. I think the Ju Chamber of Commerce can earn quite a lot even if they feed this group of rotten crows. Ari, brother Ju, since you have earned so much this time, I think you should take out some. It's not much for you, right? The people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce hurriedly said. Envy and jealousy flashed in their eyes. A trip of several 100,000 spirit stones was also a huge income for their Chamber of Commerce. But not every Chamber of Commerce was as powerful as the Ivy Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce. Their annual profit was at most several 100,000 spirit stones. If they were in danger, they might even lose money. You guys. Father Ju saw that everyone's gazes were all fixed on him, and his expression instantly became unsightly. If he were to take out 30% of the rotten crow's meat, it would be worth at least tens of thousands of middle-grade spirit stones. Originally, each person would only get a few thousand, but now that he was asked to take out all of it, how could he feel good? And the surrounding chambers of commerce were clearly bullying him. But he had no choice but to glare at them angrily. Why are you asking us to take so much? You're bullying us, aren't you? We won't take it, we'll split it equally. Seeing her father's humiliated look, Ju Hanhan pointed at them and said angrily, That's right. Why should we pay 30%? It's because the profit is better than yours. Humph, you're simply bullying us. Jin Liuyang also said angrily. Excluding the money of the mercenary group, the profit of our group is only about 100,000 middle-grade spirit stones. You've earned a few 100,000 and are coming with us. This is equivalent to our mercenary group protecting you. Naturally, you'll have more. Before the members of the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce could speak, a middle-aged man said irrationally, What kind of nonsense is this? You blame us for having less income, you blame us for having more income than you, and you want us to pay more? Don't even think about it. Ju Hanhan was so angry that her body was trembling, and she shouted loudly, It's not like you guys have to pay all of it. That's right, it's not a big loss for you. Chapter 954. Someone is courting death. The people in charge of the surrounding chambers of commerce kept talking to Father Ju. For a small chamber of commerce to be able to obtain the corpses of 100,000 fierce beasts from the mayor's office made them feel very unfair. Why did you get it? At this time, they were even working together to get the Jew Chamber of Commerce to take out the corpses of fierce beasts to feed the carrion crows. Only then would they feel more at ease. All right, everyone, quiet down. At this moment, the person in charge of the Ivy Chamber of Commerce waved his hand with a smile on his face, telling them not to speak. The rest of the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce immediately shut their mouths, waiting for his decision. Little Jew, right? Since everyone wants your Jew Chamber of Commerce to give more, then you should give more. Just as President Song said, if you give more, the road in the future will be wider. Your Jew Chamber of Commerce has just started, it's a good thing to give more, Director Du of the Ivy Chamber of Commerce said with a smile. Father Ju's face changed when he heard Director Du's words, and he clenched his fists tightly. What if we don't agree? Ju Han, who was standing at the side, almost exploded in anger as she said angrily. Our entire caravan must unite together. If we don't agree, as long as most of the Chamber of Commerce doesn't agree, you will be eliminated. As soon as Ju Han finished her words, Elder Xiao of the Xiao Chamber of Commerce said indifferently. Haha, that's right. You have to think carefully. If you are kicked out of the Blackwater Swamp, it will be impossible for you to walk out of here. That's right. President Ju, you have to think carefully. Your life is more important, or… Hee. Several people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce said mockingly. You guys. Father Ju's face was extremely ugly. Ju Han and Jin Liuyan's bodies slightly trembled at their actions. How could there be such a group of people in such a short time? Okay, I'll pay. Father Ju said in a low voice with an ugly expression. This was simply trying to force them into a desperate situation, then pay 50%, and the rest of the Chamber of Commerce will split it equally. Supervisor Du of the Ivy Chamber of Commerce said faintly. 50%. Previously, it was 30%. Now, it had increased to 50%. Father Ju's eyes were slightly red. Let's go. We can leave even if we don't follow the caravan. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was standing at the side, swept his gaze across them coldly and patted Father Ju's shoulder. This. Father Ju was stunned as he looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Ju Han and Jin Liuyang were also slightly stunned. However, Jin Liuyang followed closely behind with a smile on her face. All right, we'll leave by ourselves. Don't they want to be eliminated? You guys can take care of the beasts yourselves. We'll leave by ourselves. That's right, we'll leave by ourselves. Ju Han also tugged at her father. Leaving by ourselves? Are you guys courting death? The words of the two girls made the faces of the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce turn ugly instantly. You don't need to worry about that. You go, we go, we go. Humph. Ju Han snorted and dragged her father to the back. The managers of the Chamber of Commerce looked at each other. Their eyes were wide open, and their faces kept changing. This. The manager of the Chamber of Commerce looked very embarrassed. If the Jew Chamber of Commerce really went their own way, then wouldn't the beasts feeding the rotten crows be divided among them? Moreover, if there was one less Chamber of Commerce, they would have to share even more. Are you going to die? Supervisor Du of the Ivy Chamber of Commerce and Elder Xiao of the Xiao Chamber of Commerce also slowly looked embarrassed as they stared at them. It's none of your business. If you want us to take out 30% or 50%, don't even think about it. Humph, you go, we go, we go, we go. Ju Han turned her head and mocked them coldly. All right. Supervisor Du stared at them coldly. This damn kid. Elder Xiao's gaze was on Wang Xian. If it wasn't for that kid from the mercenary group, the Jew Chamber of Commerce would have agreed even if they were to give them 50%. Han, if we leave alone, we will be eaten by the ferocious beasts before we reach Donghai City. Father Ju looked at his daughter, who was holding his arm, and said with an embarrassed expression. Dad, with the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group here, don't worry. Yes, Uncle. Since Commander Wang has spoken, we won't have any problems from now on, the two girls said in succession. A mercenary group that could destroy a Transcendent Level Rank 7 expert, with a Transcendent Level Rank 8 array formation. Speaking of which, with the protection of the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group, It was safer than following them. Are you sure? Without a level 7 supernatural realm expert, it would be hard to return to Donghai City if we are unlucky. Father Ju's expression changed as he said with a worried expression. Don't worry. We won't risk our lives either. Wang Xian looked at him and said faintly. This. All right. Father Ju gritted his teeth. He could only trust his daughter and Wang Xian. He nodded his head heavily. When they returned to the front of the carriage, Father Ju explained to the few coachmen. Under their worried expressions, he gritted his teeth and nodded his head. They could only follow the boss's decision. Furthermore, the boss would not joke about his own life. Damn it, damn it. That bastard brat. Now that they are separated from us, what should we do next? Supervisor Du of the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce said with an embarrassed expression. Then we should do it as soon as possible. The sky will turn dark soon. In a few hours, they won't be too far away from us. Elder Xiao also said with a gloomy expression. What's wrong? Deputy Commander Ling said with a frown when he saw the two people walking toward them with an unpleasant expression. The prey wants to leave us and return to the Eastern Sea alone, Supervisor Du said with a sullen face. Leaving us is simply courting death. Deputy Regiment Commander Ling's eyes were cold as he said. Let's make a move tonight. Elder Xiao and Supervisor Du whispered to Deputy Regiment Commander Ling. We can kill them at any time. It's very easy to kill them. Deputy Regiment Commander Ling grinned, his eyes revealing a cold expression. What? Someone isn't following the caravan? Courting death. Which caravan is courting death? Why aren't they following the caravan in the Blackwater Swamp? It's those fellows at the back who are courting death. If they don't follow our Chamber of Commerce, they will soon become the food of the Crocodile Emperor. At this moment, when the mercenary groups heard the words of the person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce, they turned their heads in surprise. When they saw that there were only 20 or so of them, they sneered. How dare you leave the caravan? Just wait for your death, you bunch of idiots. The leader of the mercenary group who was in front of the Jew Chamber of Commerce's carriage gave Wang Xian and the rest a middle finger in disdain. Initially, they didn't need to be at the back. Now that they needed to be at the back, they were naturally in a bad mood. If someone wants to die, we don't need to care. A sarcastic reply came from the front. However, when the 7 to 8 mercenary groups from Shanghai town saw Wang Xian and the rest, they were slightly stunned. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. The Immortal Phoenix mercenary group had actually left the group. This was not good news. However, they did not say anything. A portion of the mercenary groups here came from Donghai City. The strength of this group of mercenary groups was much stronger than them. They did not have much say here. They kept silent. Chapter 955, Someone was courting death. Leader Wang, let's follow them from a distance. It's safer this way. When Father Ju heard the taunts from the mercenary group in front of him, he revealed an embarrassed expression and said to Wang Xian. Sure, follow them from 2 to 3 kilometers away. Wang Xian nodded his head nonchalantly. All right. We'll be relying on you guys from now on. Father Ju nodded his head solemnly. Commander Wang, we'll have to trouble you guys for the rest of the journey. Our lives are in your hands now. Jin Liuyang walked over with a smile on her face and said to Wang Xian. Don't worry. I'll guarantee that you guys will arrive at Donghai City safely. Wang Xian said with a smile on his face. All right then. When we arrive at Donghai City, we will treat Commander Wang to a meal. Commander Wang, please take good care of us in the future, Jin Liuyang said with a smile. I am not familiar with the people and places in Donghai City. Please take good care of me when the time comes. Wang Xian joked with them. After spending 2 days together, they were joking like normal friends. Quack, quack. The carrion crows in the sky came from afar. Father Ju took a look and the carrion crows continued to move forward with the caravan. They stopped about 1,000 meters in front of them. It was obvious that they were feeding the carrion carcasses. Commander Wang, they should be far away. Let's set off too. 5 minutes later, Father Ju said to Wang Xian. All right, let's go. Wang Xian nodded. The 21 AO demons immediately spread out within a 1,000-meter radius. Any creature within a 1,000-meter radius would be discovered immediately. Even if there were creatures hiding in the swamp, they would still be discovered. After 4 hours of smooth sailing, the sky gradually turned dark. After 4 hours of smooth driving, Father Jew and the others let out a sigh of relief. We are 2 to 3 kilometers behind the caravan. Most of the fierce beasts have been disposed of by them, so it's relatively safer, he said with a smile. Dad, I got a great deal by hiring the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group this time, Ju Hanhan said proudly. As the sky turned dark, their speed also decreased. At this moment, at a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers, more than 30 mercenary groups were fighting with the Imperial Croc. Among the 5 Imperial Crocs, the largest one was 15 meters in size, exuding a fierce aura. Beside it, there was a part of the corpse of a wildebeest. A transcendent level 6 Imperial Croc suddenly attacked, causing the mercenary group at the front to lose a wildebeest without noticing it. If it wasn't for Vice Leader Ling, the loss would have been even greater. Those people from the Jew Chamber of Commerce are really smart. They followed 2 to 3,000 meters behind us. We opened a safe path for them along the way. The person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce who was at the back turned his head to look behind with an embarrassed expression. He then turned his head to look at the mercenary group that was fighting Alligator. Yes, Supervisor. Maybe those guys are safer than us, a middle-aged man said angrily. Humph. The supervisor of the Chamber of Commerce rolled his eyes and moved toward the center of the group. Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, we are risking our lives on the road ahead, but those guys from the Jew Chamber of Commerce don't need to worry about any danger. This is equivalent to us opening a path for them. The middle-aged supervisor of the Chamber of Commerce walked over and said in a very loud voice. Huh. Seeing the middle-aged man walk over and say what he said, Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao raised their eyebrows. Yeah, we are risking our lives to clear the road ahead, but they are just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of our labor. FUCK, the Jew Chamber of Commerce must have thought of such a situation, so they dare to separate from us. A few people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce who were relatively close to them agreed with a sullen expression. Then what do you guys think we should do? Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao looked at each other, raised their eyebrows, and asked. I think, should we? As the middle-aged supervisor of the Chamber of Commerce said this, a very hot expression appeared on his face. He touched his neck and said, they have so many fierce beast corpses, why don't we? When the surrounding managers saw his hand gesture, their eyes sparkled. They looked at Manager Du and Elder Xiao with interest. We are a Chamber of Commerce, not thieves. Although this Jew Chamber of Commerce is immoral, we can't do this. Let's not talk about this anymore. Elder Xiao's expression turned serious as he spoke to the manager. That's right. Elder Xiao is right. Our chambers of commerce must help each other. Although the Jew Chamber of Commerce does not know what is good for them, we cannot do such an unrighteous thing. Forget it. Head of the Chamber of Commerce said with a righteous expression. The face of the head of the Chamber of Commerce changed slightly as a trace of admiration surfaced in his heart. Head of the Chamber of Commerce, Elder Xiao, I have learned my lesson. I have indeed become a little greedy. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao are really magnanimous. Together with the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce, they've also made us feel much more at ease. Yeah, even I was greedy just now. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao are still the righteous ones. No wonder the Chamber of Commerce is stronger than us. The people in charge of the surrounding chambers of commerce hurriedly flattered them. The two of them smiled faintly. However, we can't just be a wedding dress. Just now, they weren't willing to sacrifice that little bit of spirit stones. Now that they're asking us to open a path for them, I feel uncomfortable too. Vice Commander Ling, when we kill the Emperor Crocs, it's best to leave 1 or 2 for them to try. The two of them continued with a smile. We agree on this point. Leave a few Emperor Crocs for them instead of killing them. That's right. We can't let them enjoy the fruits of their labor. I support Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's actions. I also support not doing what we shouldn't do, but we can't be at a disadvantage either. Everyone looked at Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao in admiration. If they agreed to let you destroy the Jew Chamber of Commerce, then they would definitely give a portion of the items they obtained to you. Now, The two of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with cunningness. Justice? Righteousness? In the face of benefits, what kind of thing was this? Leave them 2 transcendent level 5 Imperial Crocs to play with them. Vice Commander Ling's lips curled up slightly. He waved his arm and directly hit the Imperial crocodiles on the head. The powerful force made his head feel dizzy. He wanted to recover for at least 5 to 6 minutes. Leave them 2 gift. 2 transcendent level 5 Imperial crocodiles. The other party might be eaten directly. It's a bit of a waste, but it's very satisfying. There's no way we can sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. The group of mercenaries laughed out loud. The caravan continued to move forward. In the swamp at the side, 2 alligators were lying on the ground with their heads slightly shaking. The people from the Chamber of Commerce were not good people. Wang Xian's carriage followed behind. When they came to the side of the 2 alligators, a golden swordfish in front immediately waved his hand. What's wrong? Seeing the gesture of a golden swordfish in front, the carriage stopped immediately. Father Jew's expression changed slightly. What's going on? There's a ferocious beast. Chapter 956. Who was the prey? There's a ferocious beast. When the golden swordfish mentioned that there was a ferocious beast, Father Jew's expression turned anxious instantly. Jin Liuyang and Zhu Hanhan also stood up hurriedly. Oh! Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. The ferocious beast was not discovered by the golden swordfish. Instead, it was told to the golden swordfish by the strange monsters who were hiding in the surroundings. He stood up and looked ahead with a strange glint in his eyes. As expected, 2 emperor crocodiles that were over 10 meters in size were lying in front of him. Their eyes were extremely red. It was obvious that they were in a state of anger. Once the carriage approached them, the 2 emperor crocodiles would definitely launch a fatal attack. There are marks on their heads. They were left behind to deal with us, right? A hint of coldness flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. But it's perfect. I want to see this Emperor Croc as well. He stood up immediately and flew towards the 2 Emperor Crocs. He said, "Don't worry, they are just 2 extraordinary level 5 Emperor Croc. There are ferocious beasts following behind the caravan?" Father Ju asked with a look of astonishment. Jin Liuyang and Zhu Han stared at Wang Xian curiously. To them, the level 5 extraordinary crocodile was simply a colossus. Their strength was definitely not weak in the East Ocean Academy. With a cultivation of level 3 extraordinary, they could be considered as outstanding students. However, they would definitely be swallowed by the crocodile in one gulp when they were faced with it. They focused their attention on it. They wanted to see how strong Wang Xian was. 2 extraordinary level 5 Imperial Crocs. They are a little weak. Wang Xian flew over and sized up the Imperial Crocs that were hiding in the swamp. Roar. When the 2 Imperial Crocs saw Wang Xian hovering 10 meters above their heads, they immediately became ferocious and leaped up. In the darkness, 2 terrifying monsters that were 10 meters in size attacked Wang Xian, who was in the sky. This scene was extremely shocking to the surrounding people. Whoosh. 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 Wang Xian smiled faintly. The surrounding aquatic plants suddenly flew towards the 2 Imperial Crocs in a frenzy. With an even faster speed, they landed heavily on the ground. Boom. Boom. A dull sound was heard. Wang Xian moved slightly and stood on the 2 Imperial Crocs. Dragon's might. Wang Xian stared at the 2 alligators coldly. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body. Submit. The intelligence of ferocious beasts was very low. Basically, they relied on their instincts to fight and hunt. However, no matter how low their intelligence was, they still possessed the intelligence of a 5-year-old child. The powerful aura, along with Wang Xian's terrifying dragon's might, entered their minds directly. The Imperial Croc was an aquatic creature. Roar. Roar. A series of low, fearful roars could be heard. They wriggled their huge bodies uneasily. "Don't move," Wang Xian said coldly. When the 2 Imperial Crocs heard Wang Xian's words, they didn't dare to move recklessly. Their eyes were filled with fear. "Listen to my orders. Otherwise, I will kill you immediately." Wang Xian stood in front of them. A strong killing intent surged from his body. Roar! Roar! The two imperial crocs quickly stuck their heads to the ground and placed their tails in the swamp. "Get up!" Wang Xian asked them to prop up their limbs. Roar! Roar! The two imperial crocs got up obediently. They lowered their heads as if they were facing an imperial croc whose level was higher than theirs. Wang Xian smiled in satisfaction. Imperial crocs were aquatic creatures. Although Wang Xian's level was the same as the imperial croc and he could not control them directly, he could still threaten them. It was just like how a high-level imperial croc commanded a low-level imperial croc. This. Father Zhu, Zhu Han, Jin Liuyang and the rest who saw this scene not far away widened their eyes. Even though Jin Liuyang had witnessed Wang Xian's terrifying strength, the scene before his eyes still shocked him. Two gigantic ferocious beasts, which were at extraordinary level 5, were tamed in less than a minute. This was simply unbelievable. "You, Captain Wang, you are also a beast tamer?" Jin Liuyang and Zhu Hanhan walked over with sparkling eyes and asked in astonishment. "Beast tamer? I guess so." Wang Xian smiled faintly. "Impressive, this is simply too impressive. Beast tamers are an extremely rare profession. Moreover, even a powerful beast tamer would need 1 to 2 months to tame an extraordinary level 5 ferocious beast." Jin Liuyang widened her eyes and exclaimed in shock. Father Zhu widened his eyes and walked over with a face full of shock and excitement. "The caravan in front has stopped. Let's stop and rest for a while." Wang Xian smiled and said to them. "All right, it's up to Captain Wang to make the decision." Father Zhu and the rest did not have any objections. The ability to tame 2 extraordinary level 5 ferocious beasts in an instant could definitely allow them to enter Donghai City safely. "Light a fire and eat something. We'll have to take the night route. The night route is the most dangerous in the Blackwater Swamp." Father Zhu waved at the workers and said. "Vice Commander Ling, Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, the people from the Zhu Chamber of Commerce behind us have also stopped. They're more than 3,000 meters away from us." At this moment, in front of them, a huge caravan stopped to rest. A member of the Spirit Beast mercenary group walked over and said in a low voice. "Looks like that young man's mercenary group isn't simple." The 2 imperial crocodiles didn't affect them at all. Supervisor Du of the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce frowned slightly and said in a low voice. "Hihi, how extraordinary can it be? No matter how powerful they are, they can only deal with a transcendent level 6 powerhouse at most." Elder Xiao smiled faintly and didn't seem to mind at all. Holy Sea Town wasn't like East Sea City. There was a ranking list of mercenary groups and they had only stayed in Holy Sea Town for 2 to 3 days. They didn't know about the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group. However, even if they knew, they might not be afraid. When Wang Xian destroyed the Sword Scar mercenary group, no one saw it. Most people thought that they used powerful weapons or formations to kill a transcendent level 7 Sword Scar. Vice Leader Ling of the Spirit Beast mercenary group also had a powerful weapon in his hand. "Vice Leader Ling, I'll leave the rest to you." Supervisor Du thought for a moment and smiled as he looked at Vice Leader Ling. "Don't worry, leave it to me." Vice Leader Ling smiled confidently. He swept his gaze around and waved at the dozen or so people beside him. Among the 15 people, 2 were at Transcendent Level Rank 6 while the rest were all at Transcendent Level Rank 4 or Rank 5. "Let's go and take all their money from the prey." Deputy Leader Ling raised his head slightly and said with a relaxed expression. The members of the Spirit Beast mercenary group nodded with a smile. In the eyes of everyone in the Spirit Beast mercenary group, all the mercenary groups in Shanghai Town were trash. If they wanted to make a move, the other party was just a small prey. "Let's go." Deputy Leader Ling personally led a group of powerhouses and carefully avoided everyone's gaze. They circled around from the side and after leaving everyone's line of sight, they looked in the direction of Wang Xian and the rest. The corners of their lips curled up slightly. Let the hunt begin. Chapter 957, In the Panic of the Caravan. Leader Wang is really a young hero. Even in East Sea City, The younger generation is considered the top heaven's favorite. In the Blackwater Swamp, Father Ju passed Wang Xian a piece of roasted ferocious beast meat with a smile on his face as he said in a fawning manner, "Heaven's favorites." Wang Xian smiled faintly. When he came to the extraordinary mainland, he was not competing with the heaven's favorites of this world. Instead, he was competing with the overlords of this world. With leader Wang's strength, he is also very outstanding in the entire Transcendence continent, Jin Liuyang said to him with a smile on her face. As everyone was eating and chatting, Wang Xian smiled calmly at his praise. "Leader, have we surrounded them or are we going to attack them directly?" "Of course we are going to attack them directly. Why waste too much time? He, they won't be able to escape in the Blackwater Swamp. Let's finish them off as soon as possible." In the pitch-black darkness, the members of the Spirit Beast mercenary group were floating in mid-air. They stared at a spot 1,000 meters away and said softly, "We are already 1,000 meters away." They have yet to realize that this immortal Phoenix mercenary group is also trash. Deputy Leader Ling looked over with a face full of mockery. He waved his hand and slowly flew toward Wang Xian and the rest. Dragon King. Wang Xian, who was eating, suddenly sensed the message sent by Ao Yao. He was slightly stunned and slowly stood up. "Leader Wang, what's wrong?" Father Ju saw Wang Xian suddenly standing up and asked with a face full of surprise. "Nothing. I'm taking care of a few pieces of trash. You guys can continue eating." Wang Xian shook his head and walked directly toward the Spirit Beast mercenary group. "Huh?" Father Ju and the rest looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. "Trash. We've been discovered." When they were within 1,000 meters of Wang Xian and the rest, an extraordinary level 6 powerhouse saw Wang Xian staring at them coldly. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "So what if we've been discovered? Let's get ready then." Deputy Captain Ling smiled and landed on the ground without a care. He took out his weapon from his interspatial ring. The rest of the mercenaries also took out their weapons and walked towards Wang Xian and the rest proudly. "It's actually them. What are they here for?" Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked at the group of people from the Spirit Beast mercenary group. A hint of coldness appeared on his face. "Deputy Leader Ling, may I know why you are here?" Wang Xian didn't make a move directly. The group of people from the opposite Spirit Beast mercenary group walked over with a mocking look on their faces. Both parties stopped when they were 100 meters away. Wang Xian looked at them and asked calmly, "Haha, it's just a small matter." Deputy Leader Ling laughed and sized up Wang Xian, Ao Jian, and the rest with a smile on his face. "May I know what's the matter?" Wang Xian continued to ask with an expressionless face. It's not a big matter." Deputy Leader Ling grinned. "It's just killing all of you." He smiled with a calm expression. It was as if to him, this was an insignificant matter. "Oh." Wang Xian nodded with a calm expression. "It's indeed not a big deal." "Huh?" When the people from the Spirit Beast mercenary group saw Wang Xian's calm expression, a hint of astonishment appeared on their faces. "Kid, it seems like you are prepared to die." Vice Leader Ling narrowed his eyes slightly as a terrifying killing intent emanated from his body. "He really doesn't know death." Wang Xian said calmly. "How can this kid be so calm?" An elder from the Spirit Beast mercenary group saw how calm Wang Xian was and suddenly had a bad premonition. He said softly, "Do it." Vice Captain Ling's eyes flickered as he looked at the calm Wang Xian. He no longer tried to act cool. He shouted coldly and gave the order. "PFFFT. PFFFT. PFFFT." The order sounded. However, his order seemed to be a death order. As soon as he finished his sentence, a bone-piercing sound came from beside him. He was very familiar with this sound. It was the same sound when the sharp knife entered the body of the ferocious beast. Buzz. At the same time, at this moment, he felt a terrifying murderous aura. Deputy Captain Ling's expression changed drastically. An earthen yellow defense instantly appeared on his body. However, the armor of a transcendent level 7 was easily penetrated like thin paper. He widened his eyes in disbelief as he looked at the sharp claws that penetrated his body. Then, he slowly raised his head. I can easily destroy a mercenary group like yours. Wang Xian looked at Vice Leader Ling, who was in disbelief, and said calmly, How? How is this possible? Vice Leader Ling opened his mouth and a hoarse voice came from his mouth. Wang Xian shook his head slowly. There was no fluctuation in his eyes as he walked over directly. More than 10 corpses. Not bad. Wang Xian said nonchalantly. Under Vice Leader Ling's widened eyes, his subordinates were kept into his interspatial ring. How is it so strong? How is this possible? Vice Leader Ling couldn't believe the ending before his eyes. A mercenary group from Shanghai town and a mercenary group led by a kid could actually destroy them in an instant. In fact, that kid didn't even make a move. The vision in front of them gradually blurred, and their vitality slowly dissipated. Wang Xian walked over and took off the mercenary group badges on their chests. He looked ahead and revealed a faint smile. Send the badges of these mercenary groups to them later, Wang Xian said to a strange demon. It's the Dragon King. A strange demon nodded, put away all the badges and disappeared. Wang Xian turned around and left calmly. A dozen people from the Spirit Beast mercenary group wanted to kill them. They were really reckless. Leader Wang, what happened? Father Ju and the rest asked with concern when they saw Wang Xian return. It's nothing. Some people who are courting death have been dealt with. Wang Xian shook his head lightly. Father Ju and the rest were slightly taken aback. Their faces were filled with astonishment. When they saw Wang Xian sitting down and continuing to eat, they hesitated for a moment and did not ask further. Elder Xiao, what's going on? It's been almost 20 minutes. Why is Vice Leader Ling and the rest still not back yet? At this moment, at the position of the merchant group, Supervisor Du frowned and whispered to Elder Xiao. It should be delayed by something. With Vice Commander Ling and the other's strength, there shouldn't be any problems. Elder Xiao also frowned and looked behind him from time to time. Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, it's been half an hour. Should we continue to set off? Another 10 minutes passed. The group of people in charge of the caravan who had rested well asked Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao loudly. Wait a moment, we'll leave immediately. Supervisor Du had a bad premonition in his heart, and he said to them while looking at the back with a burning gaze. Su. At this moment, sounds like hidden weapons were heard. Chapter 958, Under the Panic of the Caravan. Who is it? The sudden voice caused the expressions of all the experts in the caravan to change slightly. They hurriedly looked towards the direction of the hidden weapons. Watch out, be careful. A leader of the mercenary group shouted loudly. Clang, clang, clang. Everyone pulled out their weapons and looked around vigilantly. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, one metal after another was inserted into the carriage. Everyone quickly looked over. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao suddenly had a bad premonition. They looked around with an awkward expression and walked towards the carriage. When they just arrived, a member of the mercenary group had already walked over and removed the hidden weapon embedded in the carriage. Spirit Beast mercenary group? Why is this the Spirit Beast mercenary group's badge? The mercenary group member let out a cry of fear and pulled out one badge after another with a face full of shock. Spirit Beast mercenary group's badge? Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's expressions changed drastically. Why would the Spirit Beast mercenary group's badge be here? The badge was directly pinned onto the clothes. Even if it was a battle, it would be very difficult for it to fall off, unless... In an instant, their foreheads were full of cold sweat. The two of them looked at each other and hurriedly walked over. This is Deputy Commander Ling's badge. At this moment, the mercenary group member widened his eyes and said loudly, Deputy Commander Ling's badge. This won't happen. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao hurriedly walked over and snatched the badge from that person's hand. When they saw the badges one by one, their pupils couldn't help but shrink. The number of badges was the same as the number of experts from the Spirit Beast mercenary group who had just left. What happened? Could it be? Their expressions changed drastically. Oh right, where are Vice Commander Ling and the others? Why aren't they here? It's true. Several experts from the Spirit Beast mercenary group have also disappeared. At this moment, the people of the mercenary group and the Chamber of Commerce around them suddenly noticed that Vice Commander Ling and the others had disappeared. Their expressions changed slightly. Those badges. The faces of some people from the Chamber of Commerce slowly turned solemn. They looked at Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao. Obviously, they were hiding something. Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, Vice Commander Ling and the others. Finally, a person in charge of the caravan couldn't help but ask. On the way from Holy Sea Town to East Sea City, their caravan rarely encountered Transcendent Level Rank 7 beasts, but Transcendent Level Rank 6 beasts were definitely not rare. Especially for the huge caravan, the caravan could deter some weak beasts from attacking. But as long as it was a beast that dared to attack the caravan, its strength was not weak. Moreover, a huge caravan lacked flexibility. If there were no experts guarding it, it would be safer to travel alone in a small chamber of commerce. However, now that their caravan's Transcendent Level Rank 7 expert was not seen to be dead, it made them somewhat fearful. They had only covered 1/3 of the journey, and the rest of the journey was still very long. Without a Transcendent Level Rank 7 expert, it would be very difficult to reach East Sea City safely. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's faces were gloomy and uncertain. The sudden appearance of the badge completely made them panic. Vice Commander Ling and the others might really have met with an accident. And once something happened, their 2 chambers of commerce would be finished. Without the Spirit Beast mercenary group, how could they return to East Sea City? What worried them the most was who gave them the badge. The Jew Chamber of Commerce and the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group. Seeing the expressions of Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, and the others, the faces of the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce slowly turned ugly. They must know what Vice Leader Ling and the others had gone to do. Moreover, the current situation was that something had happened to the other party. Supervisor Du, Elder Xiao, say something. What should we do now? A person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce asked with a gloomy face. All the people in the caravan were staring at them, their faces extremely ugly. There are still 2/3 of the way back. Do we have to go back? Supervisor Du looked at Elder Xiao with a gloomy face and asked in a low voice. Go back? How can we go back? We have already traveled 1/3 of the way back. If we go back, when can we go back to East Sea City? How much will we lose this time? Our Chamber of Commerce can't afford to lose. That's right. Even if we go back, we'll issue a mission in Holy Sea Town and have the powerful mercenary group of East Sea City pick us up. The commission will be even higher. Before Elder Xiao could speak, the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce who heard this immediately said loudly. This caused Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's expressions to instantly turn ugly. But right now, we don't have any Transcendent Level Rank 7 experts to hold down the fort. If we continue moving forward, such a huge team will encounter 5 or 6 Transcendent Level Rank 6 beasts. It will be extremely troublesome. Another person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce said loudly with an embarrassed expression. They all stared at Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao, their eyes flickering. With this huge Chamber of Commerce joining forces, as the organizer, the Ivy Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce would receive huge benefits. Otherwise, they wouldn't have needed to hire a powerful mercenary group to move forward with them. Now that the Spirit Beast mercenary group was in trouble, they were also in trouble. What angered them the most was that Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao had obviously hidden something from them. Continue moving forward. We will return all of your spirit stones to you, Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao said with extremely unsightly expressions. Our mercenary group doesn't care about your matters. However, because of your situation, this mission has become extremely difficult. If you don't give us a satisfactory answer, we have the right to reject your mission. However, just as they finished speaking, a mercenary group leader walked out and swept his gaze across all the chambers of commerce. That's right, the difficulty of this mission has more than doubled. If we reach East Sea Town, there is a very high chance of death. We will quit this mission. There is another way. Each chamber of commerce will leave alone. The smaller the number of people, the less danger there will be. Another 2 mercenary groups spoke up. Because of the person who issued the mission, the difficulty of their mission had more than doubled. They had the right to terminate the mission and receive a part of the compensation. In the current situation, if they continued to move forward, it would be extremely dangerous for the mercenary groups. Moving alone, although the danger was still great, it was much lower. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao trembled when they heard the words of the mercenary group. Whether it was ending the mission or acting alone, it would put them in a desperate situation. No. They quickly exclaimed. This is not up to you. A mercenary group stared at them coldly. We are willing to give you a satisfactory reward. The caravan will continue moving forward. The two people clenched their teeth and growled in a low voice. This time, they simply lost a lot. Chapter 959, Sea Monster. What a huge loss, what a huge loss. The caravan continued to move forward. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's bodies were trembling, and their faces were extremely unsightly. All the mercenary groups present had their commissions doubled. And the extra money was all from the Ivy and Xiao chambers of commerce. With this sum of spirit stones, they would lose at least 1,000,000 middle-grade spirit stones on this trip. After all, the price of a mercenary group was not low. It would be better to follow the caravan from Holy Sea Town to East Sea City, but to hire a mercenary group with an extraordinary 5th rank expert, it would cost 50,000 to 100,000 spirit stones. After all, following the caravan was very low risk. But if they didn't follow the caravan and hired a mercenary group, it would cost at least 300,000 to 500,000 middle-grade spirit stones. Now, the death of the transcendent rank 7 experts in the caravan had placed all the risk on the other mercenary groups. The commission would be doubled. This time, their profit was only 1,000,000 middle-grade spirit stones. It wasn't enough to compensate them. Moreover, such a business wasn't common. It would only appear when the monsters attacked the city. Normally, it would be considered good if the profit was 100,000 middle-grade spirit stones. However, they had no other choice. They no longer had a mercenary group. It was simply wishful thinking for them to reach the East China Sea by themselves. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful formation in this interspatial ring. At this moment, Wang Xian and the rest continued to move forward. He sat on the carriage and flipped through the items in the interspatial ring. A smile appeared on his face. Spirit Explosion Formation, one-time extraordinary level 8 formation. Trapping the opponent in the formation and causing the formation to explode in an instant, it could unleash a terrifying attack of an extraordinary level 8 divine ability. If caught off guard, even an extraordinary level 8 powerhouse would be killed. This one-time formation was worth quite a lot. It was worth at least tens of millions of middle-grade spirit stones. Apart from this formation, the elixirs and various resources inside were also worth millions of middle-grade spirit stones. An extraordinary level 7 powerhouse was still very rich. Wang Xian looked at the alligator king beside him and revealed a thoughtful expression. It's a pity that this alligator king is not a demonic beast. Its intelligence is too low. Otherwise, I could have subdued some of them and used them as a mount. It would be too troublesome to nurture them again, Wang Xian thought to himself. They continued forward. After driving for 2 hours, Wang Xian and the rest had already caught up with the caravan in front. However, they did not meet the caravan. Instead, they staggered from one side to the other. The entire caravan was slowed down because there were no transcendent level 7 experts guarding it. The speed of Wang Xian and the rest had increased a little. The carriage was moving at a fast speed. With the strange monsters around, it was much safer along the way. Some weak imperial crocodiles were killed directly. After more than 20 hours, they successfully walked out of the Blackwater swamp area. This made Father Jew and the rest heave a sigh of relief. Their faces were filled with joy. The journey for the next 2 days is relatively safe. We only need to climb over the Wind Arrow Mountain to reach Donghai City safely, Father Jew said to Wang Xian with a smile. Wind Arrow Mountain? Wang Xian nodded his head silently. Wind Arrow Mountain was a mountain range that was connected to the ocean. The entire mountain range was like a bow and arrow. Hence, it was called Wind Arrow Mountain. The most dangerous thing in Wind Arrow Mountain was not the ferocious beasts but the demonic beasts that lived there. Demonic beasts that were as intelligent as humans. It would be fine if they did not encounter demonic beasts. However, it would be troublesome if they did. In the next 2 days, just as Father Ju said, they did not encounter any danger along the way. The Wind Arrow Mountain is ahead. 2 days later, Father Ju pointed ahead and said to them. Wang Xian looked ahead and flew straight into the sky. The place that I can see looks like a bow and arrow. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and returned to the carriage. The ferocious beasts in the Wind Arrow Mountain are all different types of ferocious beasts in the ocean. Any kind of ferocious beast can appear. These ferocious beasts are not a threat. The ones that pose a greater threat are the demonic beasts here. Demonic beasts have intelligence. They know how to cultivate. Medicinal pills are also very useful to them. There are greedy demonic beasts controlling the ferocious beasts to attack the merchants passing by. If their strength is weaker, it would be difficult for them to escape. To a certain extent, the Wind Arrow Mountain is even more dangerous than the Blackwater Swamp. Father Ju looked ahead and said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head. The path to the Wind Arrow Mountain was also very difficult. They had to cross over the mountain ridges. Let's go. Everyone got off the carriage and escorted the items in the carriage to prevent them from falling off. Wang Xian walked at the front and scanned his surroundings. The area beside him was filled with seawater. Some of the seawater flowed down like a waterfall. The entire area looked very beautiful. Wang Xian and the rest slowed down completely as they climbed over the mountain peaks. Fortunately, there were no other trees on the mountain peaks except for the craggy rocks. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to pass through this road. Dragon King, there's a ferocious beast lying in ambush ahead. There's a sea monster. After traveling for 3 hours and climbing over hundreds of mountain peaks, Ao Yaro's voice suddenly reached Wang Xian's ears. He raised his eyebrows, moved his body, and flew forward rapidly. Behind their mountain peak, there were hundreds of ferocious beasts with 6 huge legs that looked like crabs lying densely on one side of the mountain peak. Their rock-like color was a complete cover. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked at the bottom of the mountain peak. There was a small pit. It didn't look very deep. A snow-white creature was hidden inside. Its intelligent eyes seemed to be waiting for the arrival of its prey. When Wang Xian looked over, his eyes met with the creature's. The naked eye of an ordinary cultivator wouldn't be able to see if there was a creature hidden in the small pit. However, Wang Xian had the eye technique. In his line of sight, the 3-meter-tall creature that was staring at Wang Xian suddenly squinted its eyes. Wang Xian moved his body and flew directly into the small pit. It was the first time he had seen a demonic beast. Gulp. However, to Wang Xian's surprise, the sea demon moved its body and disappeared from the pit. Chemem, what's this? Wang Xian looked over and realized that there was actually a hole in the small pit. Such high intelligence. If it senses danger, it can escape from here in an instant. Even a transcendent level 9 powerhouse wouldn't be able to stop it. Wang Xian was a little surprised. Crack, 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 crack. When the ghost-faced crabs that were being controlled saw Wang Xian, they attacked him directly. This group of ghost-faced crabs were all at transcendent level 4 and level 5. They looked extremely ferocious. Without the demonic beast controlling them, they attacked Wang Xian crazily. As they didn't have high intelligence, they didn't sense any danger from Wang Xian at all. There are more than 300 of them, and they are still worth some spirit stones. Wang Xian smiled. With a wave of his arm, a large area of flames covered the area. Chapter 960. The Terrifying Freshman. Boom. Boom. When the Jew Chamber of Commerce's carriage arrived, Wang Xian had already killed over 300 ghost-faced crab. Hiss. Even though they had witnessed Wang Xian's strength, when they saw the 2 to 3 meters long ghost-faced crabs at the bottom of the mountain peak, they were shocked. This was especially so for Zhu Han and Jin Liuyang. There were more than 300 ghost-faced crabs. The weakest among them was at level 4 extraordinary. Any one of them could easily kill the 2 of them. However, he only used a few minutes just now. When Dao Hen was killed back then, It's very likely that he didn't rely on any treasures. If that's the case, this is too terrifying. Jin Liuyan's eyes were sparkling as she stared at Wang Xian. She was slightly lost in her thoughts. Such a rare prodigy would definitely be famous across the continent in the future. The ghost-faced crab is a ferocious beast unique to Wind Arrow Mountain. It is also the most popular delicacy. The value of the ghost-faced crab far surpasses that of an ordinary ferocious beast. Father Ju said with a twinkle in his eyes. Is that so? Wang Xian's figure moved and landed at the foot of the mountain peak. Let's take a break. It's a good time to taste this ghost-faced crab. Sure. Everyone said with smiles on their faces. After witnessing Wang Xian's terrifying strength, they felt that it was very safe to stay in the wild. They were totally in the mood to taste the delicacies. The workers' faces lit up as well. With their status, they could never afford to eat such precious ferocious beast meat. Come, let me make it for you. Father Ju rolled up his sleeves and walked over with a smile on his face. Wang Xian nodded and took a rest at the side. The two girls also walked down cheerfully and helped to deal with the ghost-faced crabs one by one. Hurry up, we are in a hurry. At this moment, the caravan behind them had also arrived at Wind Arrow Mountain. Compared to a few days ago, everyone in the caravan was in a sorry state. The dozen of people walking at the front were a completely unfamiliar mercenary group. They wore gorgeous armor and looked extraordinary. At the back, one of the original 19 chambers of commerce was missing. Of the 300 or so mercenary groups, more than 30 were killed or injured, making everyone's faces extremely gloomy. Their luck wasn't very good. They encountered the attacks of more than 100 fierce beasts midway, 8 of which were at transcendent level rank 6. When that group of fierce beasts appeared, in an instant, more than 30 of them died in the battle. More than a dozen people from the Chamber of Commerce at the front were directly eaten by the fierce beasts. At the moment when everyone was in despair, fortunately, a group of people appeared. A group of 13 people, 1 was at Transcendent Level Rank 8, 3 were at Transcendent Level Rank 7, and 9 were at Transcendent Level Rank 6. The appearance of the 13 people instantly destroyed a group of fierce beasts. Under their pleas, the other party was willing to send them back to East Sea City. What made them most excited was that the other party actually didn't take their spirit stones. Yes. The group of people from the Chamber of Commerce and the mercenary group hurriedly nodded. Who are they? Their strength is so terrifying. Judging from their clothes, they are either from the Demon Hunters mercenary group or the Demon Hunters Academy. They are definitely top-tier existences in East Sea City. They are so powerful that they can sweep across our holy sea town. Behind them, some mercenary groups were discussing in low voices as they sped up and followed behind them. If they were in their place, they wouldn't dare to travel at such a fast speed in Wind Arrow Mountain. They were simply courting death. However, with so many experts around, they didn't have any scruples. Hey, there are people in front. The 13 people at the front lightly jumped onto another mountain peak and scanned their surroundings vigilantly. After an hour, when they jumped onto a mountain peak, they suddenly found more than 20 people sitting not far ahead. They actually ate ghost-face crabs here. They have some strength. A middle-aged man standing on the left licked his tongue and said with a smile. Hee, send them out of Wind Arrow Mountain and we'll leave as soon as possible. We have to finish that mission as soon as possible. The new students will enter the school soon. An old man smiled and said while glancing at them. Okay, but I see that there are a lot of ghost-face crabs there. Get a few and we'll eat them on the way. The middle-aged man smiled and the group quickly flew over. The merchant group behind them also rushed over. Hey, everyone, are there any more ghost-faced crabs? Let's buy 2. The group landed in front of Wang Xian and the rest. The middle-aged man smiled as he swept his gaze across the 2 giant ghost-faced crabs that were being produced. Hey! Father Ju turned his head and looked at the dozen of them. Following that, he looked at the few hundred people who had rushed over. A caravan? He was stunned for a moment before his face darkened. It's them. The people from the Ju Chamber of Commerce. I didn't expect that they were not eaten by the ferocious beast. They even caught ghost-faced crabs to cook here. How leisurely. Behind them, The people from the Jew Chamber of Commerce looked embarrassed when they saw the people from the Jew Chamber of Commerce. They had almost died in the wilderness, but this group of people actually had good food and drinks. This made them filled with jealousy. The Jew Chamber of Commerce. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao looked at Wang Xian and the rest with an embarrassed expression. That night, they found an excuse to hide the reason for the disappearance of the group of experts from the Spirit Beast mercenary group. The others didn't know that the Spirit Beast mercenary group disappeared because they were hunting the Jew Chamber of Commerce. When they saw the Jew Chamber of Commerce again, a strong killing intent flashed in their eyes. If it wasn't for the Jew Chamber of Commerce, they wouldn't have suffered such a heavy loss. Elder Xiao's face was gloomy. His eyes moved and he suddenly walked forward. "My lords, if you want the ghost-faced crab, we will buy it for you." As he spoke, he walked towards Wang Xian and the rest. "Sell the ghost-faced crab to us. You can name your price as you wish." The 13 people standing in front of Elder Xiao didn't say anything when they saw him flattering them. However, when Elder Xiao walked over, Father Ju, Ju Han, Jin Liuyang, and the rest had ugly expressions on their faces. Wang Xian also looked at him mockingly. His gaze then swept across the dozen people at the front. Sensing the powerful energy contained within their bodies, Wang Xian didn't pay too much attention to it. Scram. He glanced at Elder Xiao coldly. The assassination attempt by the Spirit Beast mercenary group that night definitely had something to do with this old man. He didn't have a good impression of this group of chambers of commerce and mercenary groups. "You." Elder Xiao glared at him. Instead, a hint of a smile flashed across his face. "Kid, why are you so arrogant? It's your honor that our Lord wants to buy some of your ghost face crabs. Don't be ungrateful. We just want to buy some of your stuff. If you don't want to sell it, then don't sell it. Are you asking us to scram? Kid, you're too arrogant." At this moment, the cold voices of a few mercenary groups came from behind instantly. More than 10 burly middle-aged men held their weapons and immediately came over. The 13 people who were standing in front also raised their eyebrows and looked at Wang Xian with some displeasure. "A kid, he's a little arrogant." Chapter 961, A Terrifying New Student. The 13 people in luxurious armor stared at Wang Xian with displeasure. Their faces gradually darkened. Especially the middle-aged man on the left. He raised his eyebrows coldly. With their status, and strength, who wouldn't give them face in Donghai City? The kid in front of them actually told them to scram? No matter how good their tempers were, they still looked at this young man with dissatisfaction. "Hee, don't challenge my patience. Scram." When Wang Xian saw that more than 10 members of the mercenary group dared to surround him, a hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. "Kid, you're really arrogant." The corner of the middle-aged man's mouth curled up slightly. A playful look appeared on his face as he slowly walked toward Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man. His silver-white armor shone brightly under the sunlight. There was a black-like character on his chest. He raised his head slightly and looked at the middle-aged man. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. He stood up with a smile on his face. What? I'm going to educate you." The middle-aged man chuckled. His body suddenly moved and transformed into numerous shadows. He attacked Wang Xian at a terrifying speed. Seeing this scene, a ferocious look flashed across Elder Xiao's eyes. He lowered his head slowly and his face gradually turned ferocious. "With just you." Wang Xian saw the middle-aged man's figure and a mocking look appeared on his face. He moved his arm. Boom. Scorching flames instantly covered his arm. His entire arm turned into 2 to 3 meters in size. The middle-aged man's body was instantly grabbed by Wang Xian. The terrifying flames caused his expression to change drastically. "This." The middle-aged man widened his eyes as he looked at the palm that was grabbing onto him. His eyes revealed a look of horror. The faces of the 12 middle-aged men behind him changed slightly. "Stop." The green-armored old man who was standing at the front had a solemn expression. His body moved and appeared in front of Wang Xian in an instant. A terrifying aura came over. The terrifying pressure caused the expressions of everyone around to change drastically. "Let go." The green-armored elder stared at Wang Xian coldly as he spoke in a deep voice. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the elder. He said coldly, "It seems like all of you want to die here." Huh? The green-armored elder's expression changed slightly as he stared at Wang Xian with a burning gaze. What an arrogant brat. He wants all of us to die here. Haha, then let us see if you have the qualifications to speak to us like this. Another white-haired old man grunted angrily and came to the side of the green-armored old man. A strong murderous aura emanated from his body. The other 10 men also emitted a terrifying pressure and surrounded Wang Xian and the rest. You're courting death. You're really courting death. Kill this bastard brat. He spoke rudely and arrogantly. He's courting death. How dare he provoke a bunch of adults? Behind them, a group of people from the Chamber of Commerce and the mercenary group stared at Wang Xian and the rest coldly. Their eyes were filled with both shock and anger as they shouted loudly from behind. One of their hands grabbed onto the body of an expert. This strength was a little terrifying. The strength of this group of people is not lower than level 6 of the extraordinaire. For that brat to be able to capture one of them so easily, his strength is not weaker than level 7 of the extraordinaire. No wonder he was able to kill Deputy Captain Ling and the rest. Elder Xiao and Supervisor Du's expressions changed. However, since he dared to provoke this group of powerhouses, he is simply courting death. Such an ungrateful kid. Sir, teach them a good lesson. The two of them echoed as they spoke to the green-armored elder and the rest. A bunch of scoundrels. Not long ago, I let all of you off. This time, it won't be as simple as that. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the group of people who were shouting arrogantly behind him. His eyes revealed a cold expression. If we have anything to say, we can talk it out. When Father Ju saw this situation, his forehead was filled with cold sweat. He hurriedly spoke loudly. However, everyone ignored him. A terrifying aura slowly condensed from Wang Xian's body. A murderous aura condensed as the strength and flames in his hands slowly rose. The face of the middle-aged man who was held by Wang Xian changed drastically. He felt that the other party could kill him at any time. Wait. At this moment, a panicked voice was heard. A figure hurriedly ran to the center of Wang Xian and the group of people in front of him. He looked at the group of the green-armored elder and his gaze landed on the only woman among them. The woman had short hair and exuded a vigorous aura. She held a short sword in her hand and looked valiant and valiant. Teacher Bai Wen, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Jin Liuyang quickly shouted at the woman. Huh? The woman holding the short sword was slightly stunned. She raised her eyebrows and looked at Jin Liuyang. Who are you? I'm a student of the East Ocean Academy. Teacher Bai Wen, I know you. Jin Liuyang said hurriedly and looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian was slightly puzzled and the strength in his hand loosened a little. A student of the East Ocean Academy? Who is he to you? The old man in green armor asked Jin Liuyang with a sullen face. Jin Liuyang looked at the woman and then at Wang Xian. She said bitterly, Captain Wang, Bai Wen is a teacher of the Demon Hunters Academy. Huh? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. A teacher of the Demon Hunters Academy? This was a little troublesome. He had not even enrolled in the academy yet and had already offended a teacher. It was not a good thing. Young lady, what are you trying to say? Bai Wen looked at Jin Liuyang and asked with a frown. This, Teacher Bai Wen, Commander Wang is a new student of the Demon Hunters Academy. You are a teacher of the Demon Hunters Academy. We are all on the same side. Don't make such a fuss. Jin Liuyang said bitterly. However, when Bai Wen heard Jin Liuyang's words, he widened his eyes and looked at Wang Xian in disbelief. Even the rest of them had a slight change in expression as they stared at Wang Xian in unison. It is even more unforgivable for a subordinate to offend his superior. What right does such a person have to enter the Demon Hunters Academy? However, Elder Xiao's anxious voice was heard from behind. He had created such a situation with great difficulty. Now that both parties were involved, how could he let them be so kind? Shut up. HMPH. All of you are not good people. Jin Liuyang heard Elder Xiao's shout and shouted at him angrily. Cough cough, I'm also a teacher of the Demon Hunters Academy. The middle-aged man who was caught by Wang Xian coughed with a flushed face and said in a low voice. Jin Liuyang was stunned. She turned her head around in astonishment. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth twitched. He looked at the instructor of the Demon Hunters Academy who was caught by him. I am the vice principal of the Demon Hunters Academy. At this moment, the voice of the green-armored old man was heard. He kept the long saber in his hand back into his interspatial ring. He sized up Wang Xian with a surprised and weird expression. I am the dean of the order department of the Demon Hunters Academy, the white-haired old man said in a deep voice with a twinkle in his eyes. Jin Liuyang, Zhu Hanhan, Father Zhu, and even Wang Xian and the rest were dumbfounded. They had already started a fight with the higher-ups of the academy before the start of the semester. Chapter 962. The young man was not bad. The atmosphere was a little quiet. Even the people from the Chamber of Commerce and the mercenary group behind were dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? That young man was a new student of the Demon Hunter College, and this group of people were the higher-ups of the Demon Hunter College. They were in a standoff now? What the hell? Wang Xian did not expect this group of people to be the higher-ups of the Demon Hunter College. He thought that they were the mercenary group hired by the Ivy and Jew Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, he didn't have a good impression of them. However, he didn't expect them to be the higher-ups of the Demon Hunter College. They hadn't even entered the college yet and were already fighting with the higher-ups of the college. How were they supposed to continue their studies? Wang Xian was a little embarrassed. He had sensed the strength of this group of people just now. The green-armored elder was at level 8, while the rest were at level 7 and level 6. The lowest level was level 6. However, with his strength and the strength of the strange demon, he wasn't afraid of them at all. That was why he didn't hold back at all. However, he didn't expect that. This teacher, I'm sorry. Wang Xian moved his palm slightly and placed the middle-aged man down. It was really a sin to accidentally torture a teacher. The expression on the middle-aged man's face was also very interesting. His body moved and he immediately came to the side of the green-armored old man. Are you really a new student of the Demon Hunter College? The green-armored old man asked in astonishment when he saw Wang Xian let go of the middle-aged man. Ah, yes. Wang Xian moved his palm and a notice of admission for the Demon Hunter College appeared in his hand. Are you a new student? The white-haired old man beside him still found it unbelievable and couldn't help but ask. Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head. This time, the expressions of the group of people became even more interesting. A new student was able to pinch an elite instructor of the academy with one hand. His strength was at least at level 7 of the supernatural realm. Just now, they were still bewildered. Where did this monstrous young man come from? He actually possessed such terrifying strength. But never did they expect that in the blink of an eye, he would become a new student of their academy. I never thought that our academy would actually have such a terrifying new student. It's really. The azure-armored old man didn't know what to say. To the Demon Hunter Academy, having a monstrous new student within the academy was definitely a joyous occasion. But the situation before their eyes. The young man's strength is very strong, but being young and frivolous is also a good thing, but you can't go too far, or else you might suffer a loss. The green-armored old man really wanted to say that young people shouldn't be too arrogant, but after thinking about it, he changed his words. Such a monstrous young man, wasn't it normal for him to be arrogant? Especially since he was a student of their Demon Hunter Academy, he should be confident and arrogant. Dean, there might be a misunderstanding between us. We were originally in the same caravan as them, but they threatened us, asking us to take out more resources. We had no choice but to leave their caravan, Jin Liuyang said immediately. That's right, Director. Commander Wang and the rest were hired by us. We thought that you were in cahoots with them. That's why we were so rude to you when we met just now. Zhu Hanhan also walked out and said to the green-armored elder. Oh, I see. The green-armored elder pondered for a moment and nodded slowly. Since it's a misunderstanding, let's not be so hostile. I'm sorry, Director. It might really be a misunderstanding. Wang Xian nodded as well. With a move of his arm, a corpse was thrown from his interspatial ring to Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao. Peng. The deputy leader of the Spirit Beast mercenary group was sent by you guys to kill us, right? Wang Xian swept his cold gaze across the two of them. Hiss, it's Deputy Leader Ling's corpse. How could it be? Why would Deputy Leader Ling's corpse be with them? Could it be that the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce sent Vice Leader Ling to assassinate the Ju Chamber of Commerce? It must be. For the fierce beast corpse on the body of the Ju Chamber of Commerce. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. Elder Xiao and Supervisor Du's pupils couldn't help but shrink when they saw the corpse. The people of the Chamber of Commerce and the mercenary group behind all widened their eyes and discussed with gloomy faces. They finally understood that the reason why the Ivy and Xiao Chamber of Commerce didn't allow them to hijack the Ju Chamber of Commerce was because they wanted to do it themselves and obtain the money. It wasn't a righteous act at all. Crafty, really crafty. What? The people from the Spirit Beast mercenary group came to assassinate us? Father Ju and the rest were also slightly stunned. Their faces revealed an embarrassed expression. They were trying to exterminate all of them. If it wasn't for Wang Xian, they would definitely be dead by now. The green-armored elder finally understood from the discussion of the people behind him. His face immediately darkened. They were being used. He didn't expect them to be used. They saved a bunch of people who shouldn't be saved. Wang Xian took a deep look at Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao. Then, he swept his gaze across all the people from the Chamber of Commerce and the mercenary group. Vice Principal, dear teachers, we can be considered to have gotten to know each other without fighting. It was my student who was reckless just now. I can only take out some food to apologize. Following that, Wang Xian took out 3 ghost-faced crabs with a smile and said to them, "Haha, good, good. I really didn't expect that our East Sea Demon Hunters Academy would produce such a monstrous new student." The green-armored elder laughed and waved his hand. Everyone walked over and said, "This is a slap in the face. However, we are very happy to see such a prodigy enter our Demon Hunters Academy. Are the students nowadays so terrifying?" The middle-aged man who was held by Wang Xian shook his head bitterly. "That's right. He's already qualified to be a teacher in our academy." A few middle-aged elders beside him nodded their heads in agreement. A new student who possessed the strength of a violent teacher was so freakish that he was the only one in the Demon Hunters Academy. However, the appearance of such a student was also of great benefit to the entire academy. Come, teachers and principals. Let us cook for you. Hee hee. Father Ju was excited when he saw this scene. He quickly prepared himself. Wang Xian invited them to sit down and started a conversation with them. The teachers and vice principals of the Demon Hunters Academy were extremely curious about Wang Xian. They kept asking him all sorts of questions. The vice principals even invited Wang Xian to join the East Ocean Demon Hunters Academy after he graduated. Not only that, they even offered him a lot of benefits when the school was about to start. The deputy dean even waved his hand and gave Wang Xian a house that was close to the Demon Hunters Academy. They wanted to recruit Wang Xian. Such a young and terrifying student, they naturally wanted to recruit him. After witnessing his strength, it could no longer be described as a genius. Now, with Wang Xian's strength, he could be considered as a powerhouse. A powerhouse that could intimidate an entire region. It was definitely worth it to befriend such a powerhouse with unlimited potential. Chapter 963, A Heavy Price to Pay. The green-armored old man had the surname of Xia. He was the deputy dean of the Demon Hunter College, an expert at Transcendent Level 8. Jin Liuyang and Zhu Hanhan, who were at the side, widened their eyes when they heard the conversation between Dean Xia and Wang Xian. To a freshman who had yet to enroll in the Demon Hunter College who wanted him to stay in the college after graduation, the college would gift him a house directly. He could even come to the college directly if he needed anything. Each of these conditions was something that all the students of the Demon Hunters Academy yearned for. Which student of the Demon Hunters Academy didn't wish to stay in the academy and enjoy an extremely high salary, social status, and background? However, the vice dean of the academy had promised these conditions to a new student. If others were to find out, they would definitely be envious. However, with Wang Xian's talent, strength, and potential, he was definitely qualified to enjoy these resources. At the side, everyone in the merchant caravan who saw this scene had shocked expressions on their faces. They stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Elder Xiao and Supervisor Du's expressions were even more embarrassed and desperate. They stood at the side nervously. Their expressions kept changing and they were filled with worry. Student Wang Xian, we still have an urgent mission to complete. We won't disturb you anymore. The Demon Hunters Academy will officially start its semester in 2 days. I'll bring you to meet the other higher-ups of our academy, Vice President Xia said to Wang Xian. All right, see you then. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Then we'll take our leave first. Vice Principal Xia and the rest stood up and cupped their fists at Wang Xian. With this attitude, they didn't treat Wang Xian as a student of the Demon Hunters Academy. After all, Wang Xian was too strong. They didn't dare to raise their status. Especially the middle-aged instructor who was controlled by Wang Xian. His face was filled with bitterness. Being beaten up by a student, he was the first in the Demon Hunters Academy. Goodbye. Wang Xian smiled and waved his hand. Vice Principal Xia and the other 13 people moved and flew towards the back. When the members of the caravan saw them leaving, their expressions changed drastically. My lords, without you guys, how are we going to go back? An old man shouted at them in panic. However, Vice Principal Xia did not pay any attention to them. What should we do? In an instant, everyone was terrified. With their abilities, it was extremely difficult for them to cross the Wind Arrow Mountain. If it was like the last time, all of them would die here. Elder Xiao, Supervisor Du, please give us an explanation. At this moment, Wang Xian's voice rang out. Everyone looked at Wang Xian, who was sitting there and calmly tasting the ghost-faced crab meat. In the end, everyone's gaze was focused on the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Family Chamber of Commerce. Elder Xiao and Supervisor Du's expressions changed drastically. They lowered their heads slowly and did not speak. Green Vine Chamber of Commerce, Xiao Family Chamber of Commerce, you guys are really cunning. You actually ordered the Spirit Beast mercenary group to assassinate the Zhu Family Chamber of Commerce. You want to murder them for money. Now, hurry up and compensate them. That's right. Elder Xiao, Supervisor Du, I didn't expect you guys to do such a thing. Leader Wang, what they did has nothing to do with us. We are willing to give you guys a sum of money. We hope that you guys can bring us along. We will use all the resources that the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce sent this time to make up for their mistakes. Leader Wang, please let us follow you guys. The people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce suddenly spoke up. They looked at old Xiao and old Du in disgust as they tried to curry favor with Wang Xian. You bunch of bastards. Upon hearing the words of the members of the Chamber of Commerce around them, Manager Du and old Xiao glared at them angrily and shouted loudly. Manager Du, old Xiao, you guys better shut up. If it wasn't for you guys, we would have been able to get to this stage. You guys are cunning and vicious. Humph, people like you guys should be thrown into the wilderness. That's right. A perfectly fine caravan almost killed all of us because of you. The group of people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce said sharply. You still dare to talk about me? Who was the one who said that we should kill the Jew Chamber of Commerce and take them away? You'd better shut up. We aren't as despicable as you to send the Spirit Beast mercenary group to assassinate them. In the end, it was fortunate that Commander Wang was here. Otherwise, you bunch of scoundrels would have succeeded. All of you. Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's bodies trembled as they argued with the people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce. Hee. Wang Xian, who was standing at the side, listened to their words coldly. Take out all the spirit stones and resources in your hands. I will bring all of you back to Donghai City. He spoke to all the chambers of commerce and the mercenary group indifferently. As soon as Wang Xian finished his words, everyone stopped shouting and looked at him one by one. Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and Xiao Chamber of Commerce, leave behind all the valuable items and leave on your own. Wang Xian added indifferently. All right, I'll pay. My life is more important. We can earn more if we run out of spirit stones. A middle-aged man gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, Captain Wang, as long as you can bring us to Donghai City, we'll give you all our money. I'll give it to you too. The people in charge of the Chamber of Commerce agreed with an embarrassed expression. They had been forced into a desperate situation. Their lives were more important than money. Come here. A few people from the mercenary group looked at each other. They instantly walked to Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao's side and directly grabbed them. Come, find all the valuable things on their bodies and send them to Commander Wang. You! What are you doing? I'm warning you, our Ivy and Xiao Chambers of Commerce will not let you off. Shut up. A few mercenary groups tore their clothes and took their interspatial rings and all the valuable items. Commander Wang, all the goods of the caravan are yours. Please take us back to East Sea City. A few people in charge of the mercenary group and the Chamber of Commerce walked over and said with an awkward expression. Hee, all right. Wang Xian smiled expressionlessly and looked at Father Ju. I'll have to trouble President Ju to come to Donghai City and help me sell all the goods. Also, if you guys want to seek revenge, you can look for me at the Demon Hunters Academy. My name is Wang Xian. Wang Xian stood up and said to everyone with an unpleasant expression. No. Everyone said hurriedly. They really didn't dare to. After learning that the 13 people were the higher-ups of the Demon Hunters Academy, they knew that this young man in front of them was definitely not someone they could provoke. To dare to be enemies with the Demon Hunters Academy was simply courting death. Wang Xian didn't bother with them. He was about to enter Donghai City anyway. The Dragon Assassin organization was also about to enter Donghai City. It wouldn't be long before the Dragon Assassin organization stirred up another storm of blood. Chapter 964, Donghai City. Get lost. Get out of our sight immediately and don't appear in our sight. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Wang Xian and the people from the Ju Chamber of Commerce were walking at the front while everyone from the caravan followed behind. A few people from the mercenary group spoke to Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao who had ashen faces. The people from the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce had despair written all over their faces. All their resources had been taken away, and now they were chased out of the caravan. How were they supposed to go back? This was no different from sending themselves to their deaths. Get lost. A member of the mercenary group pushed Elder Xiao hard and pushed him to the ground. Their mercenary group had suffered heavy losses on this trip. However, all of the reasons were because of the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce. If it weren't for them, this mission would have been smooth. There wouldn't have been so many deaths, and they wouldn't have to be on tenterhooks every day. They would have been able to smoothly obtain a decent reward. Then, they would have to take out a sum of spirit stones when they arrived at the Eastern Sea with the Immortal Phoenix mercenary group. Therefore, when they learned of what the Green Vine Chamber of Commerce and the Xiao Chamber of Commerce had done, everyone's faces were filled with anger. You will die a horrible death. Elder Xiao fell on the rock, his eyes bloodshot as he growled. However, what responded to them was a cold gaze. Seeing the caravan quickly disappear from their sight, Supervisor Du and Elder Xiao sat on the rock with despair on their faces, their eyes lifeless. Without protection, with their extraordinary second or third rank strength, their chances of survival were less than 10%. Commander Wang, all the goods in the caravan are worth about 13 million middle-grade spirit stones. This is their receipt. Take a look. When we arrive at Donghai City, I will sell all the goods to you, Commander Wang. Father Ju counted all the goods and came to Wang Xian with a smile. He said respectfully, "Okay." Wang Xian nodded his head and smiled. Although the commission for this mission was only 50,000 spirit stones, the reward was not low. Excluding the one-time extraordinary 8th level formation, the reward was 17 to 8 million middle-grade spirit stones. It was not bad. The caravan traveled at a fast speed. With Ao Yarrow and the rest on guard, as long as they did not encounter any powerful demonic beasts of the insightful void tier, there was not much danger. After 2 days of turbulence, Wang Xian and the rest finally arrived in front of a huge city. The city wall was 100 meters tall and the huge black city gate was 70 to 80 meters tall. Rows of elite soldiers stood neatly on the city wall. The huge city was incomparably majestic and exuded an ancient aura. Compared to it, the Holy See town was on a completely different level. East Sea City had a population of over 10 million, and it was close to the ocean. The entire city had existed for over 3,000 years. East Sea City was one of Starmoon Kingdom's 10 great cities. Starmoon Kingdom had 10 great cities and 80 towns. East Sea City was one of them. It had the army of ocean cultivators of the East Sea, which guarded a region. The city lord and the commander of the army of ocean cultivators were both terrifying experts at the profound void realm. In Eastern Sea City, there were 3 major academies: Eastern Sea Academy, Ocean Academy, and Demon Hunter Academy. Compared to the first 2 academies, Demon Hunter Academy could be considered a civilian academy. This was because as long as one had the strength and ability, they wouldn't allow their sons and daughters to join the Demon Hunter Academy. The greatest future for the students of the Demon Hunter Academy was to stay in the Demon Hunter Academy and become instructors. The rest would usually join a mercenary group. If it was better, they would form a mercenary group. However, the members of the mercenary group lived on the edge of a knife and could die in the wild at any time. As the saying went, if you often walk by the river, you will get your shoes wet. If you often do missions in the wild, who can guarantee that you will not encounter difficulties? Therefore, no parents were willing to let their children go to the Demon Hunter College. Moreover, the students of the Demon Hunters Academy had to go out on missions during their time in the academy. Every assessment required them to go out into the wild to complete the corresponding missions. The probability of death in the academy was very high. It could be seen from the assessment. This was also the origin of the name of the academy for commoners. To enter Donghai City, everyone had to pay a middle-grade spirit stone. This was a hard and fast rule. Wang Xian and the rest entered the city from the entrance that was at least 200 meters wide. They passed through the tunnel that was 20 to 30 meters thick. A huge and prosperous city appeared in Wang Xian's line of sight. The wide street was about 30 to 40 meters wide. The street was divided into human-shaped and horse-drawn carriages. Move, move, move. At this moment, a roar came from behind. Wang Xian turned around and saw more than a dozen members of the mercenary group riding on giant rhinoceroses. They were walking on the road of the carriage. The 3-meter rhinoceroses were emitting a powerful aura. These rhinoceroses had at least the strength of an extraordinary level 3. This made Wang Xian's eyes sparkle. It's up to Brother Bei Bing to hunt the red-tailed fish this time. Don't worry, leave it to me. As long as you do as I say, I guarantee that we will return with a full load. More than 20 people walked out of the city excitedly. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with astonishment. The one who was called the Bei Bing brothers was not a human. Instead, it was a demonic beast that carried a shell on its back and had 2 antennae. That's right, it was a demonic beast. It cooperated with humans to hunt and kill the ferocious beast. Along the way, Wang Xian also learned a little about Donghai town from Jin Liuyang and Zhu Han. This was a huge city. There were not only fierce beasts but also demonic beasts living in it. Demonic beasts possessed intelligence. Not all demonic beasts were enemies with humans. Many demonic beasts joined forces with humans. After demonic beasts registered in a human city, they enjoyed the same treatment as humans. They also had to abide by the rules of humans. And because demonic beasts had their own talents and were generally stronger than humans, many mercenary groups also hoped to recruit a demonic beast member. This resulted in a situation where the demonic beasts and humans coexisted. In fact, there was even a small demonic beast race living in Donghai City. The humans provided them with safe accommodation and resources while they guarded Donghai City for the humans to solve some special problems. Commander Wang, I'll sell all the resources first. I'll let Han Han and Miss Jin bring you around Donghai City, Father Zhu said to Wang Xian with a smile. As for everyone in the caravan, they left as soon as they entered the city. It's all right. I'll look around by myself. Wang Xian shook his head. It's all right, Commander Wang. We don't have much to do. Donghai City is very big. Do you know where the Demon Hunter Academy is? Where is the Demon Hunter recruitment? Let us accompany you to get to know each other. Thank you for bringing us here safely, Jin Liuyang said to Wang Xian with a smile on her face. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and nodded. All right then, thank you. You're welcome. We still want to get to know a powerhouse with unlimited potential like you so that we can protect our little girl in the future. Jin Liuyang's face was full of smiles. Chapter 965, Enrolled. Eastern Sea City was very big. It took 7 to 8 hours to travel around the entire Eastern Sea City by horse carriage. It would take at least a few days to walk around the entire Eastern Sea City. Eastern Sea City was divided into 5 regions, and each region was larger than Holy Sea Town. Compared to Eastern Sea Academy and Ocean Academy, which were located in the most prosperous central region, Demon Hunter Academy belonged to the Eastern region, which was the closest region to the ocean. As it was the closest region to the open ocean, the Eastern region was the region where most of the mercenary groups gathered. The Demon Hunter College nurtured members of the elite mercenary groups, so naturally, it was also built in this region. Jin Liuyang and the rest naturally couldn't bring Wang Xian around the entire Eastern Sea City. They only brought him to the Eastern region. The Demon Hunter Association, the Demon Hunter College, and the most prosperous street in the Eastern region, the Demon Hunter Street. In the Demon Hunter's Street, all kinds of shops were more than 10 times richer than in the Holy Sea Town. There were beast taming shops, demon beast specialty shops, communication shops, dueling ring, life and death ring, and so on. This was an eye-opener for Wang Xian, who had entered the city for the first time. There were 4 Demon Hunters Association in the Eastern District. The Eastern District was the largest one. One of the Demon Hunters Association was like a square. When one entered the Demon Hunters Association, it was not crowded even with tens of thousands of people. Let's go. We know a relatively famous restaurant. Please try the delicacies in Donghai City. As Jin Liuyang spoke, she brought Wang Xian to a small street. They strolled around with Jin Liuyang and Zhu Hanhan for about 4 hours. The two of them brought him to various places, which really saved him a lot of time. If he were to familiarize himself with them, he would need at least 1 to 2 days. Wang Xian strolled until evening before he parted ways with the 2 girls. After rejecting their invitation for the next day, he smiled and went straight to a restaurant. This Jin Liuyang seems to have a good impression of me. It seems like it's because I'm too outstanding. Wang Xian smiled narcissistically. Through their conversation, Wang Xian learned that Jin Liuyang was quite famous in the East Ocean Academy. Her stunning beauty and outstanding talent made her an existence on the level of the goddess of the East Ocean Academy. However, Wang Xian didn't have much feelings towards Jin Liuyang. When he came to the room in the restaurant, Wang Xian took out an exquisite communication stone plate. Unlike the stone plate in Shanghai Town, this stone plate was more complicated and its function was much more powerful than the communication stone plate bought in Shanghai Town. This communication stone plate is no different from the communication equipment on Earth. It's really magical. Wang Xian opened the communication stone plate and looked at the various information on it. He clicked his tongue slightly. The ranking of the experts of Donghai City, the ranking of the young prodigies of Donghai City, the ranking of the hiring groups of Donghai City, and the ranking of the missions of Donghai City. The various information was not much different from the computers on Earth. However, the Transcendence continent was able to achieve such a feat entirely by relying on formations. There were 4 Transcendence Level 9 formations, 10 Transcendence Level 8 formations, and more than 10 auxiliary formations protecting Donghai City. Only through the city protection formation could such a communication stone plate be produced. It was similar to the local area network on Earth. Wang Xian opened the window of the restaurant and looked at the city tower, which was about 400 to 500 meters tall. Ao Yao, is there any information from the Dragon Men? Wang Xian looked at the magnificent city and asked. Dragon King, Long Yi, and the rest have already arrived at the Tianqing Town, Shofeng Town, and the Ice Town. They will be able to spread the information about the Dragon Assassin organization very soon. Ao Yao's voice sounded in the room. Yes, We will occupy the towns that are affiliated to Donghai City first. Then, we will occupy this huge city. Wang Xian stood in his room and looked up at this huge city. It wouldn't be long before he could look down on Donghai City. The Dragon Assassin organization was now famous in both Shanghai Town and Qiaolin Town. The Dragon Assassin organization could be considered to be somewhat famous in the other three towns. When the light and darkness of the Dragon Assassin organization covered the Tianqing Town and Shofeng Town as well as the Ice Town, it would be time for them to become famous in Donghai City. As long as the light and darkness of the Dragon Spike could cover Donghai City, it wouldn't be long before it could cover the entire Star Moon Kingdom. In the next 2 days, depending on the level of the mission, you can send someone or go to the other 3 towns to complete the mission personally. Wang Xian said to Ao Yao. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao nodded. The morning of the day after tomorrow is the start of the Demon Hunters Academy. From now on, we have to find a territory for the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. The most important thing for Wang Xian to do when he came to Donghai City was to find a territory for the Dragon Palace. He wanted to completely transfer the Dragon Palace to the supernatural continent so that the strength of the Dragon Palace could develop faster. The next morning, Wang Xian took a stroll around the Eastern District. Compared to usual days, the number of students in the 3 major colleges of Donghai City was much higher than usual. There were about 20,000 to 30,000 students in total in the 3 academies. There were about 10,000 students in the Demon Hunters Academy. And there were about 1,000 new students this time. Going to school. Is this to make up for the regret of not finishing university on Earth? On the 3rd day, Wang Xian walked out of the restaurant with a smile on his face. He was dressed in a handsome black outfit. In the middle of the black outfit was a 5-colored divine dragon. With a slight movement of his palm, he held a fiery red wooden sword in his hand. Wang Xian did not let Ao Jian and Ao Yao follow him. Ao Yao had already led a group of strange demons to Tianqing Town, Shofeng Town, and Ice Town. There, they were waiting for the dragon spikes to take over. Ao Jian was sent by Wang Xian to investigate all the information regarding Donghai City. Dressed in black and holding a red wooden sword, Wang Xian walked towards the Demon Hunters Academy. Walking on the street paved with green bricks, the surrounding demonic beasts, ferocious beasts, and humans were mixed together. It was filled with a strange atmosphere. The restaurant was not far from the Demon Hunters Academy. The entire Demon Hunters Academy occupied 10% of the Eastern District. There was a huge square at the entrance of the Demon Hunters Academy. In the middle of the square were more than 30 sculptures that were more than 10 meters tall. Each of the people on the statues was filled with a disdainful aura. They were the founders of the Demon Hunters Mercenary Association. The Demon Hunters Mercenary Association. There were more than 30 people, and each of them had at least the strength of the insightful Void Tier. Not far from the Demon Hunters Academy was the Demon Hunters Mercenary Association. At this moment, there were 2,000 to 3,000 people standing at the entrance of the Demon Hunters Academy. Some of them were new students who had come to report. At a glance, most of the new students were wearing armor and holding weapons in their hands. A faint murderous aura emanated from their bodies. Those who were able to join the Demon Hunters Academy must have participated in battles in the wild. Those who had experienced battles would always have some murderous aura. Among them, there were obviously more males than females. Wang Xian walked straight to the square in front of the Demon Hunters Academy and entered the back of the queue. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly and a confident expression appeared on his face. Get out of the way. At this moment, a light voice was heard. Wang Xian turned around and saw a female student riding on a snow-white light tiger. She was walking over slowly. There was a badge pinned on her chest. The Amethyst Mercenary Group was the only all-female mercenary group in the Demon Hunters Academy. Chapter 966. Get out of the way, I want to show off. The woman riding the light tiger arrogantly swept her gaze across the group of new students in front of her. Female students who have joined the Demon Hunter Academy, if you meet the requirements in the future, you can join our Amethyst Mercenary Group. The woman rode the light tiger to the front. The 3-meter-tall light tiger allowed the woman to look down on everyone as she spoke indifferently. After she finished speaking, The woman drove into the academy expressionlessly. Wow, what a handsome senior. She's simply too cool. That light tiger looks so mighty. Is it possible to obtain a light tiger by joining the Amethyst Mercenary Group? The Amethyst Mercenary Group is one of the top 3 mercenary groups in the Demon Hunters Academy. It was established by a senior in the 8th grade. The Amethyst Mercenary Group only accepts female members. I heard that there are many beautiful women in there. There are quite a few transcendent level 6 experts. It's a 3-star gold mercenary group. The surrounding freshmen looked enviously at the senior who had entered the academy. Haha, another group of little brats have come. At this moment, another burly voice was heard. Everyone hurriedly turned their heads. 3 youths, each of them incomparably burly, carried a huge hammer on their shoulders, and walked in like dragons and tigers. Not bad, not bad. The 3 of them looked at the group of new students, and grinned. We are members of the Berserker Mercenary Group, Berserker, ranked in the top 5 of the Demon Hunter Academy. We, Berserker, only accept powerful warriors. If you are interested, you can get to know us, haha. The 3 of them quickly walked to the front of the group. The hammers in their hands landed heavily on their arms, making a loud noise. The faces of the freshmen in front of them were filled with shock and admiration. After entering the Demon Hunter Academy, you can join the mercenary group established by Senior Sister. There are many benefits to joining. Some Senior Sister's strength is even stronger than ordinary instructors. If you join, you will be able to receive their guidance. I don't want to join. In the future, I want to build a powerful mercenary group myself. When the freshmen saw another senior in the academy promoting his mercenary group, they all whispered among themselves. Haha, it's our turn. At this moment, another voice came from behind. Everyone turned around and saw 4 or 5 young men with fans in their hands walking forward. They were completely different from the 3 men from the Berserker Mercenary Group. They were dressed in luxurious brocade clothes and held folding fans in their hands. They looked more like a playboy. It's the Young Masters Mercenary Group. It's said that those who can join them must first have money, and second must have strength. I heard that the Young Masters Mercenary Group's strength can be ranked in the top 10 in the Demon Hunters Academy. No one dares to provoke them. Sometimes, having spirit stones is also a reflection of one's strength. To join them, one needs 10 million middle-grade spirit stones. This is 10 million. The 5 young men walked over elegantly, causing the surrounding freshmen to discuss and envy. Hua Fenghua, come to the Young Masters Mercenary Group after you enter the academy. At this moment, the 5 young men suddenly walked straight to the seat beside Wang Xian. Get out of the way. A voice rang out beside Wang Xian. They were all standing in neat rows. The one who spoke was a young man inside. The young man had long hair with a golden headband on his head. The headband was sparkling. He was holding a blue sword in his hand. When he saw the 5 young men walking over, he was all smiles as he walked straight out. The few people inside quickly made a path for the young man. When Wang Xian saw the young man walking over, he was about to move his body backward. However, the young man seemed to have not seen him as he squeezed his way forward. He turned his body sideways and bumped right into Wang Xian's side. He looked as though he was saying, "Get out of the way, I want to act cool." That's right, the young man wanted to act cool. In front of all the new students, the top 10 mercenary group of the Demon Hunters Academy had come to invite him personally. Naturally, he had to walk over. This kind of opportunity to catch the attention of all the new students was very rare. When Wang Xian saw the golden hoop young man colliding with his body directly, he immediately stopped his retreating posture. His body didn't move at all. Huh! The face of the young man who squeezed over changed slightly. He couldn't help but take a step back. His arrogant face, which had his head slightly raised, instantly became embarrassed. Don't you have eyes? The young man with the golden hoop stared at Wang Xian coldly and said expressionlessly, "Don't you know how to be polite? Why? Did I stop you from acting cool?" Wang Xian looked at the expression of the young man and smiled. He really didn't have a good impression of this kind of guy. Get out of my way. When the young man with the golden hoop heard Wang Xian's words, his face immediately darkened and he growled coldly. Be nice. Wang Xian stood there indifferently and didn't move. Kid, are you courting death? When the young man in golden hoop saw that everyone was looking at him, his expression changed as he stared at Wang Xian. Damn it. This time, a few seniors from the young master's mercenary group came to look for him in front of all the new students so that he could gain some face and show off. Now that he was blocked by a kid on his way to show off, he was naturally extremely furious. Heh! Fenghua, don't be rash. The 5 young men in brocade saw the sudden conflict between Hua Fenghua and Wang Xian. They narrowed their eyes slightly and waved at him. They looked at Wang Xian with a teasing look on their faces. Kid, get out of my way. It was the same sentence as Hua Fenghua, but they were talking about the 5 of them now. The young man in embroidered clothes standing in the middle was even more outstanding. He gestured to the side. They were all smiling as they stared at Wang Xian indifferently. The surrounding freshmen were slightly stunned when they saw this scene. Their faces were filled with astonishment. What's wrong with that kid? Is he courting death? Fuck, he offended the young master's mercenary group? No way, who doesn't know that offending the young master's mercenary group in the Demon Hunter Academy is simply courting death? It's already cold. If we apologize now, it's still not too late. When the surrounding freshmen saw this scene, their eyes widened. The reason why the young master's mercenary group was able to rank in the top 10 of the Demon Hunter Academy was not because of their strength, but because of their financial resources. Although this world was a world of martial strength, money was still awesome. If you had money, you could hire strong people, and if you had money, you could hire assassins. The young master's mercenary group was definitely an existence that no one dared to provoke in the Demon Hunters Academy. Even the top 3 mercenary groups did not dare to provoke them. This was completely a wealthy organization. When the 5 of them heard the discussions around them, a faint smile appeared on their faces. Even the freshmen who had yet to enroll in the academy had heard of their reputations. This made them even more arrogant. Hua Fenghua, who was at the side, snorted coldly. She crossed her arms and looked at Wang Xian coldly. Wang Xian looked at them and smiled disdainfully. Move aside. Are you going to give way to trash like you? Boom. When Wang Xian finished his sentence, everyone around him was stunned for a moment before they burst into an uproar. Chapter 967, Don't be pretentious if you don't have the strength. Move aside. Move aside for you bunch of trash. He actually said such words to the 5 people from the young master's mercenary group. Not to mention that the 5 of them were the famous young master's mercenary group in the Demon Hunters mercenary group. Even if they weren't, they were still senior students of the Demon Hunters Academy. You, a freshman, dared to say such words to a senior student. You are clearly courting death. Wang Xian's words stunned all the freshmen around him. All of them stared at him in astonishment. However, his words caused the faces of the 5 young men from the young master's mercenary group to darken instantly. Their faces were almost bleeding. Calling them trash? Furthermore, it was a freshman in front of all the freshmen. This was simply too embarrassing. If some people in the Demon Hunters Academy knew about this, wouldn't they mock them to death? To be called trash by a freshman who had yet to enter the academy. The young man with golden hoop was also looking at Wang Xian in astonishment. A mocking expression slowly appeared on his face. Hee, very good. No one in the Demon Hunters Academy dares to speak to us like this, especially the freshmen. You are the first one. A hint of viciousness flashed across the eyes of the young man in the middle of the 5 of them. He held the fan in his right hand and said, "Let me help you get out of the way." The fan in his right hand flashed with a green light as it smacked towards Wang Xian's body. Trash. Wang Xian saw their arrogant looks and a hint of mockery appeared in his eyes. He moved his arm. In Wang Xian's opinion, a young man who was at Transcendent Level 3 could be easily crushed to death. He moved his right hand and did not release any attributes. He merely relied on his powerful strength to land heavily on the fan. Boom. Crash. A terrifying force landed. The powerful force caused the fan in the young man's hand to collapse. Bang! The powerful force landed on the young man's body, causing his expression to change drastically. He flew backward and landed heavily on the ground. What? Everyone's expression changed slightly as they looked at the young man who was lying on the ground in disbelief. This was a senior. However, a member of the young master's mercenary group was actually knocked down by a freshman. With such strength, you still want to show off? What a joke. Wang Xian looked at the young man who was lying on the ground in disdain. You. In an instant, the expressions of the 5 of them changed drastically. It was true that they were not strong. They were at level 3 extraordinary, but they were not too weak either. However, they did not expect to be knocked down by a young man. This was a huge humiliation. They were mocked by a freshman and now they were defeated. This made them lose all their face in front of the freshman. That student's strength is so strong. This student's strength should be considered top-notch here, but the strength of the 5 of them seems to be a little weak. This young master's mercenary group is at least one of the top 10 mercenary groups in our academy. How could their strength be? When the surrounding freshmen saw this scene, their eyes widened and their faces were filled with shock as they discussed. Hearing the discussions of the surrounding freshmen, the expressions of the 5 members of the young master's mercenary group became even more unsightly. Their strength was already considered relatively weak within the mercenary group. However, being defeated by a freshman was still extremely humiliating. A freshman actually defeated Liang Chuan of the young master's mercenary group. His strength isn't bad, but that freshman is in big trouble. It's not just trouble. I reckon he will drop out of school soon, or else he will be played to death. His actions this time have embarrassed the entire young master's mercenary group. That kid's strength is not bad, but he is showing off a little. Provoking young master's mercenary group is simply courting death. In a corner of the square in front of the Demon Hunters Academy, 40 to 50 people stood there. They were members of some mercenary groups in the Demon Hunter College. According to their rules, they had to show their faces to the new students one by one. It wasn't their turn yet. When they saw that Wang Xian had defeated Liang Chuan from the young master's mercenary group, they shook their heads in surprise. To be able to defeat Liang Chuan, they were definitely ranked among the new students. However, it was a pity that what he had done just now had completely offended the young master's mercenary group. The young master's mercenary group would definitely seek revenge and establish its prestige among the freshmen. Kid, just you wait. If there is a place for you in the demon hunting mercenary group in the future, our young master's mercenary group will have wasted our time. Liang Chuan got up with an embarrassed expression. He stared at Wang Xian with a dark gaze and said fiercely, "Young master's mercenary group? Hihi, trash, you guys better not embarrass yourselves here." The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. He glanced at them with disdain and ignored them. Good, very good. Let's just wait and see then. Liang Chuan's face revealed a hint of malevolence. He flung the fan in his hand angrily and walked straight ahead. Some students who were not too clear about the young master's mercenary group in the surroundings hissed, causing the 5 of them to look even more embarrassed. Hee. Wang Xian smiled faintly and looked at Hua Fenghua who was beside him. Hua Fenghua stood to the left of Wang Xian. Her expression kept changing as she said, "Just you wait." After saying that, she immediately returned to her original position with a dejected expression. Wang Xian ignored her and stood there waiting. "Brother, you have to be more careful in the future. If you offend the young master's mercenary group, you will be in big trouble in the future." At this moment, a young man in front took a step back and turned around to remind Wang Xian in a low voice. "Yes, thank you for your reminder." Wang Xian nodded his head and didn't pay too much attention to it. Sigh. The young man in front shook his head when he saw Wang Xian's appearance and didn't say anything else. He was from Donghai City and had a better understanding of the young master's mercenary group. The young man behind him was going to be done for. Boom. Boom. One by one, the students from the Demon Hunters Academy's mercenary group walked over to introduce themselves. Half an hour later, the gate of the Demon Hunters Academy opened with a loud bang. 20 middle-aged men walked over in unison. They were wearing uniform black armor with the word hunting written on their chests. A group of 20 people walked over like an army. The hearts of the new students were slightly shaken. They stood up in a hurry and the sounds of their conversation quickly disappeared. "Hey! Wang Xian swept his gaze over and discovered two familiar figures. One was a middle-aged man whom he had grabbed with his palm, and the other was a white-haired old man. Wang Xian remembered that this white-bearded old man was the dean of the order department. He had the strength of a transcendent level 7. Vice Dean Xia was not among them. I am one of the 4 vice presidents of the Demon Hunter Academy, Vice Dean Zhao. Now, all new students, take out your admission notices and enter the academy. The academy will randomly assign you 10 learning grounds. Each learning ground will have 2 teachers to teach you. Before you enter the academy, worship the heroes of the Demon Hunter mercenary group. The old man wearing a black hat in the middle looked straight ahead and said indifferently. Chapter 968, took his revenge. More than 30 heroes of the Demon Hunters mercenary group were in the worship square. Then, Vice Principal Zhao led them directly into the academy. After entering the academy, there were huge trees on both sides of the road. The trees were shaded, and each one was 100 meters tall. These trees were all planted when the Demon Hunters Academy of East Ocean City was founded, and they had a history of more than 2 years. The ground of the Demon Hunter College was black, and the black soil was extremely hard. Upon entering the Demon Hunter College, Wang Xian could clearly feel that the spiritual energy in the Demon Hunter College was 2 to 3 times higher than the spiritual energy outside. After walking for 300 to 400 meters on the tree-lined road, statues appeared in front of him again. He bowed once again. Behind the statues were buildings. The black buildings were as thick and heavy as the ground. Demon Hunter Academy Library, Demon Hunter Academy Treasury, Demon Hunter Academy Mission Office. In front of them, 3 huge buildings were exceptionally eye-catching. These 3 buildings were 30 meters tall. In Eastern Sea City, they weren't very tall, but in Demon Hunter Academy, they were considered relatively tall buildings. Only the city towers that were 400 to 500 meters tall in Demon Hunter College were taller than them. In front of them were many huge buildings. The names of the classes were written on the front of each building. There were 10,000 students in Demon Hunter College, and they were divided into 10 grades. In other words, they could stay in Demon Hunter College for 10 years. There was a learning field for every 100 students, and 2 instructors would teach them. 1 instructor to teach the knowledge category, and 1 instructor to teach the combat category. Both were very important to the students. The Demon Hunter Academy didn't have the teaching of arrays, alchemy, and refining, so the actual combat category was more. Sometimes, the instructor would take all the students in the class out to do missions. Hiss, that's the attribute tower in front, it's so magnificent. This is the foundation of the entire Demon Hunter College. The speed of cultivating and comprehending divine abilities in the attribute tower is more than 10 times faster than in the outside world. I heard that entering the attribute tower requires a lot of points. I only have a pitiful 30 points in my hand. I only have 20. After walking for more than half an hour, at the back of the college, there were 7 towers emitting various kinds of energy. There were wind attribute training towers with green wind whistling, and fiery red training towers with flames rising. There were water attribute training towers with flowing water, and golden and dazzling metal attribute training towers. There were a total of 7 of them, but there were no light and dark attributes. Attribute towers, training towers. They can speed up the comprehension of supernatural powers and increase the speed of cultivation. Wang Xian looked at the attribute towers and revealed a look of surprise. This was the holy land of cultivation in the supernatural continent. It can increase by more than 10 times. It's similar to the current Dragon Palace. It's even worse than the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Field of the Dragon Palace also had the ability to speed up the improvement of supernatural powers. Overall, it might not be as good as the Dragon Palace. On each admission notice, there is a serial number from 0 to 9. Everyone, take a look. Students whose serial number is 0, come to me. Students from 1, come to me. One instructor after another walked out and shouted at all the students. The group of new students walked to the corresponding instructor. Wang Xian was number 3. He walked directly to instructor number 3. This was a female instructor, a middle-aged female instructor. When he saw Wang Xian walking out, One of the 20 teachers who stood in a row smiled at Wang Xian and waved at him with a smile on his face. The middle-aged female teacher who was in charge of student number 3 looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Some of the surrounding freshmen were also looking at Wang Xian, who was walking towards a teacher, in astonishment. Their minds were filled with thoughts. Student Wang, from now on, I will be in charge of the actual combat teaching of your class. If you have any needs in the future, just let me know. Oh, right, if you want to enter the attribute tower to cultivate, I will give you a pass later. You can enter directly, the middle-aged man said with a smile when he saw Wang Xian coming over. There was a hint of awkwardness in his smile. After they learned that Wang Xian was a new student of the Demon Hunter College, Vice President Xia decided to let the teachers present at the scene to be in charge of Wang Xian's class. Upon hearing this news, all the teachers smiled bitterly. What the fuck? To be the teacher of this student? Are they qualified? Such a student can cripple you with one hand. How are you going to teach him? Everyone was unwilling. They had no choice but to draw lots to decide. In the end, Wang Xian, who was tragically held in one hand, was drawn. At that moment, his emotions were unusually complicated. He was the only one present who had been beaten up by that evil young man. However, when he saw the gloating expressions of the other teachers, he could only grit his teeth and agree. Now that he was facing such a student, he could only smile instead of being polite. Thank you, Teacher Ma. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Also, this is for you. It's the key to a house next to the academy. This is the reward given by the academy. Follow me to meet Dean Xia and the rest later. The middle-aged man took out a key and said to Wang Xian again. Okay, thank you, Teacher Ma. Wang Xian took the key and nodded. Let's go, Teacher Yuan. Bring the students to grade 1, class 3 first. Teacher Ma nodded and spoke to the middle-aged female teacher. Then, he gestured to the higher-ups of the academy who were not far away. Wang Xian followed behind him and walked in the direction of the attribute tower. They arrived at the back of the attribute tower. There was a residence there. Each house had its own courtyard. The scenery inside was exceptionally beautiful. Moreover, as they were relatively close to the attribute tower, the spiritual energy here was more abundant than other places. Vice Principal Xia and a few elders were sitting there. When they saw Wang Xian, their eyes lit up. Wang Xian walked over and started chatting with him with a smile. After agreeing to a few conditions of the vice principal and the rest, Wang Xian left after chatting for a few minutes. This young man is not simple. His temperament and calm expression are definitely not from an ordinary family. It is very likely that he is an elite disciple of one of those big families or even some sect. Seeing Wang Xian leave, an old man who was sitting in the courtyard said with a twinkle in his eyes. This is inevitable. For such a young man to possess such powerful strength, it is very likely that he is a disciple from a bloodline family who came out to gain experience. Vice Principal Xia, who was standing at the side, slowly shook the tea in his hand. However, no matter what, we will only ask him to help our academy during the competition of the 3 academies. Haha. That's right. We will not offend a youth with such a mysterious identity. We will just give him some benefits and not get too involved. The 2 elders beside him smiled and nodded. The academy did not belong to any organization. After students graduated, they would no longer have much to do with the academy. A talented and monstrous student would attract the academy's attention and give them some benefits. However, that was all. Chapter 969, Took His Revenge. Wang Xian came out from the higher-ups of the Demon Hunters Academy with a faint smile on his face. Dean Xia and the rest didn't tell him too much. They only hoped that he would be able to help when the academy's honor was at stake in the future. Naturally, Wang Xian agreed readily. No matter what, the Demon Hunters Academy gave a genius like him a lot of convenience. For example, he had the freedom to attend classes. He could go whenever he wanted. He could cultivate freely in the attribute tower. There was also a house outside the school. It gave him a lot of freedom. Wang Xian was very satisfied with this. He didn't interfere with his freedom and gave him a lot of convenience. Let's go back to the learning field first. The instructions from Wang Xian Academy were directed to the learning field in the future. The learning field was divided into two categories, knowledge and combat. The knowledge category was the understanding of various ferocious beasts and demonic beasts. Understanding their weaknesses, habits, attacking methods, and so on were very important to every member of the mercenary group. Grade 1, Class 3. Wang Xian looked at the sign in front of a huge building and walked in. When he arrived at the door, he realized that there were no teachers inside. More than 90 students were sitting inside. Each of them was holding a communication stone tray in their hands as they chatted excitedly. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the entire learning field. It was about 2,000 to 3,000 square meters and there were several arenas inside. At the front of the learning field were chairs with a group of freshmen sitting on them. Wang Xian took a glance and walked straight inside. Pa. The noisy room suddenly quieted down. All the students looked at Wang Xian in unison. Wang Xian's expression didn't change. He went to the last seat and sat down. This is the communication stone plate issued by the school. It belongs to our Demon Hunters Academy. Teacher Yuan asked me to pass it to you. At this moment, a female student who was sitting in the middle walked over and handed him a communication stone plate. Thank you. Wang Xian nodded and took the stone plate. He revealed a curious expression on his face. All right, everyone is here. The instructor asked us to choose the temporary leader of the class. Now, who is willing to compete for this position? After the girl handed the stone plate to Wang Xian, she said to everyone, "Let me do it." A young man stood up with a proud expression on his face. Duan Qingwen has the strength of an extraordinary stage 3. It is sufficient for him to be the leader of class 3. The rest of the students frowned slightly when they saw Duan Qingwen standing up and speaking proudly. Duan Qingwen was a rather high-profile person. Many people in the class did not have a good first impression of him. However, his strength was very strong. Students, do you have any objections? The corner of Duan Qingwen's mouth curled up slightly as he scanned his surroundings. Some of the students hesitated for a moment before looking at Wang Xian's position. Among the freshmen this year, Wang Xian was known by everyone. He defeated a senior of the Young Masters Mercenary Group without giving any face to the Young Masters Mercenary Group. Moreover, they had just received a piece of news on the communication stone plate. In the class, he was the only one who could match up to Duan Qingwen. I'm not interested. Wang Xian raised his head and took a glance. Then, he lowered his head and opened the communication stone plate. So cold and arrogant. So cool. The surrounding students whispered when they saw Wang Xian's cold expression. It's good that you're not interested. This student, you should think about how to get through this difficult situation first. Duan Qingwen looked at Wang Xian and grinned. Then, he said in a slightly mocking tone. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked at Duan Qingwen. Fellow student, take a look at the school forum on the communication stone tablet. You are in trouble. At this moment, a young man beside him whispered to Wang Xian. Oh. Wang Xian looked at the communication stone tablet and opened the forum. It was similar to the forum on the computer on Earth. The 5 members of the Young Masters Mercenary Group were publicly humiliated by a newbie. One of them wanted to make a move but was defeated immediately. It's such a disgrace. Awesome newbie. Today, the Young Masters Mercenary Group is really a disgrace. Haha, this is really interesting. They can't even defeat a newbie. The members of the Young Masters Mercenary Group are really useless. The thread was all about the fight between Wang Xian and the Young Masters Mercenary Group not long ago. There was another thread in the middle of the thread. A kid who thinks he has some ability dares to provoke our Young Masters Mercenary Group. In the future, beat that kid up in school and collect 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones directly from the Young Masters Mercenary Group. In the future, there will be no place for that kid in the Demon Hunters Academy. 2 lines of words. The person who posted the thread was a member of the Young Masters Mercenary Group. Upon seeing this thread, Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. A hint of coldness could be seen on his face. Haha, this kid is going to be in trouble. Beating him up for 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones is equivalent to killing 2 extraordinary 4th-grade ferocious beast. A freshman dares to provoke the young master's mercenary group. I think it's better for him to apologize now. Otherwise, he will be beaten up every day in the future. Nouveau riche, the people in the young master's mercenary group are really nouveau riche. Speaking of a freshman, we senior students can only make a move after getting the kid's consent. Otherwise, it'll violate the school rules. The freshman can make a move, but this kid's strength isn't weak among the freshmen. He can be ranked in the top few. The entire post had several thousand replies. Most of them were gloating. Many students were gloating over the fact that the young master's mercenary group was humiliated by a new student. However, when they saw the young master's mercenary group taking out spirit stones to deal with Wang Xian, many of them rubbed their hands together. Beating up 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones was not a small amount. Many of them were rubbing their hands. Wang Xian looked at the information on the communication stone plate and a cold expression appeared on his face. He then looked at the other information on the communication stone plate. There was a ranking of the Demon Hunter College's mercenary group, a ranking of the Demon Hunter College's strength, a ranking of the Demon Hunter College's points. There were 3 rankings, followed by the Demon Hunter College's mission. The young master's mercenary group was ranked 6th in the Demon Hunter College. The Gold 1-star mercenary group had 48 members. The founder's strength had reached extraordinary level 5. Golden 1-star, transcendent level 5. Wang Xian was a little disdainful as he continued to search for other information. Alright, since no one has any objections, I shall be the leader of Class 3, the leader of Class 3. Let's introduce ourselves first. Duan Qingwen's voice sounded in the learning field. At this moment, another communication stone tablet from Wang Xian vibrated. Hey! All the resources have been sold. 17 million middle-grade spirit stones. Wang Xian looked at the message sent by Father Ju and smiled. He stood up and walked out. Hey! What are you doing? It's not your turn to introduce yourself yet. Duan Qingwen's face darkened when he saw Wang Xian standing up and asked. I'm going out for a while. Wang Xian said plainly and walked out. Who gave you permission to go out? You. FUCK, you don't follow the rules. Chapter 970, 1 against 1. Looking at Wang Xian walking out of the learning field and ignoring his words, Duan Qingwen looked extremely embarrassed. In the Demon Hunter College, there was a team leader in each class. The team leader was the strongest person in the class and had a lot of authority. Similarly, as a team leader, there were many benefits. For example, it was easy to recruit members when establishing a mercenary group. Seeing that Wang Xianyao didn't even care about him, Duan Qingwen's expression was extremely ugly. Captain, don't bother about that fellow. He's probably preparing to hide. He offended the young master's mercenary group. He won't be able to stay in the Demon Hunter Academy for long. That's right. I bet that he will leave the Demon Hunter Academy within a week at most. This fellow is too arrogant. Now that the young master's mercenary group has already posted the news on the Academy's forum, this fellow is finished. A few young men in the class saw Duan Qingwen's ugly expression and quickly spoke up. HMPH, let's ignore this fellow. Duan Qingwen said coldly with a gloomy face. Wang Xian walked out of the learning field and headed straight out of the academy. He came to the Demon Hunters Academy mainly because he could obtain some missions and news that he couldn't obtain outside the academy. This would be very beneficial to the development of the Celestial Phoenix mercenary group. As for learning, there were some things that he could learn, but most of them were useless to him. Therefore, it was impossible for Wang Xian to stay in the academy all the time. Walking out of the academy, Wang Xian looked around. There were students from the Demon Hunters Academy who were holding weapons. Some of them were walking out of the academy, while others came back from the academy. Some of them were riding powerful ferocious beasts and were wearing armor. They looked extraordinary. There were also more than a dozen people, both male and female. They were all senior students. Wang Xian quickened his pace and walked outside. When he reached the entrance of the academy, he saw Father Ju waiting by the door. Commander Wang, All your resources have been sold. All the spirit stones are in the interspatial ring. Father Ju also saw Wang Xian and walked over immediately. He said respectfully, "All right, thank you." Wang Xian nodded his head. No need, no need. Captain Wang, if you have time, I'll treat you to a meal," Father Ju said politely. No need. I still have some matters to attend to. Let's have a meal together sometime. Wang Xian shook his head. All right, all right. Father Ju nodded his head hurriedly and waved his hand at Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head with a smile and took out the key given by Teacher Ma. He looked at the address on the key and said, "The distance is very close." Not bad, not bad. Wang Xian looked at the street in front of him and walked along the wall of the Demon Hunters Academy towards the right. After walking for about 1,000 meters, Wang Xian entered an alley. There were many houses inside. The houses had their own courtyards and looked very luxurious. Houses that can be built near the Demon Hunters Academy are not cheap. This house is worth at least 10 million middle-grade spirit stones. Wang Xian walked to a green wooden door. Looking at the door number in front of him, he opened the door directly. A courtyard was at least 100 square meters. It was a 3-story small building. He pushed the door open and entered. It was extremely luxurious inside. Wang Xian looked around with a satisfied expression. He took out his communication stone plate and called Ao Jian and the rest over. Looking at the time, it was already noon. Wang Xian walked out directly. Not far away was the main street of the Eastern District. Wang Xian found a random restaurant and sat down. After dinner, Ao Jian and the rest arrived. Wang Xian asked them to find a house to live in next to their house. After settling everything, Wang Xian walked into the Demon Hunters Academy. Hey, that's the freshman who didn't give young master any face by hiring a gang. It's really him. He's really bold. He doesn't know how to hide. Where can he hide? TSK, beating him up is equivalent to 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones. If I can beat him up, I will beat him up more than a dozen times. He's at least at Transcendent Level 3. He can be ranked in the top 10 among the freshmen. Just as he passed through the area under the shade of the trees, Wang Xian saw 3 to 4 young men pointing at him. Wang Xian looked over and raised his eyebrows slightly. He ignored them and continued walking inside. The Demon Hunter College was very big. Wang Xian quickened his pace. In the afternoon, the instructor asked us to familiarize ourselves with the Demon Hunter College. Everyone can take a look around. Hey, look, it's him. It's really him. A new student who just entered the academy has already become popular in our academy. TSK, I'm really envious. What's there to be envious about? This kid is going to be unlucky soon. At this moment, 100 students walked out from a learning field beside them. A young man who was standing at the front spoke to the students. At this moment, the students who saw Wang Xian suddenly spoke in surprise. The young man who was standing at the front was slightly taken aback. He looked at Wang Xian and narrowed his eyes slightly. Although it was only a day since the new students entered the academy, more than half of the students of the Demon Hunters Academy knew about Wang Xian's reputation. This was especially so for the mission issued by the Young Masters Mercenary Group on the Communication Stone Forum. Not only will I get 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones if I defeat this guy, I will also gain a great reputation. The eyes of the young man who was standing at the front flickered. His body suddenly moved and appeared in front of Wang Xian in an instant. Huh! Wang Xian frowned slightly when he saw a young man suddenly blocking in front of him. Hey, what is the captain doing? Could it be? Is the captain going to beat him up? Haha, I support the captain. If we beat him up, not only will we get a reward of 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones, we will also be able to make a name for ourselves in the first grade. That's right, Class 8 is the strongest. Captain, teach him a lesson. When the students behind saw their captain making a move, they were excited and shouted loudly. The young man smiled and looked at the students behind him. He raised his hand indifferently and said, "Wait for me to earn 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones. I'll treat everyone to a good meal. Haha, I support our leader. Beat him up." Our leader's strength is definitely one of the best among our peers. He has a transcendent Tier 3 weapon, a transcendent Tier 3 armor, and a supporting weapon. Captain, he has also made our Grade 1 Class 3 famous. At the back, a group of students surrounded him excitedly. Hee. Upon hearing the students' words, the young man raised his head slightly. The corner of his mouth curled up as he looked at Wang Xian, who was in front of him. Kid, your strength is not bad. Come, let's spar. There's no time. Move aside. Wang Xian looked at the young man's provocation. There was a hint of impatience in his eyes as he said directly, "Get out of the way. If you defeat me, then get out of the way. What's the matter? You dare to fight with a senior and you don't dare to accept my challenge? Are you scared? This is so boring. Why don't you let me beat you up and I'll let you leave?" The young man said mockingly with a face full of strong confidence. Scram. A hint of impatience flashed past Wang Xian's eyes as he dashed forward. Hee, I want 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones. The young man smiled when he saw Wang Xian making a move. He clenched his fist and dashed forward. Boom. Wang Xian also stretched out his fist to meet the young man's attack. The powerful force collided violently. Chapter 971, Stomped on his face. In the Demon Hunter College, students of the same grade didn't have to enter the arena to spar. However, students of the higher grades had to enter the arena if they wanted to challenge students of the lower grades. This was also to ensure the safety of the students of the lower grades. At the same time, students of the Demon Hunter College couldn't endanger the other party's life when sparring. Wang Xian didn't show any mercy when facing the young man who provoked him. A powerful force landed directly on his arm. Boom. Ah! A miserable scream was heard. The young man's body flew backward and landed heavily on the ground. His arm was completely fractured. How dare a trash like you block my way? Wang Xian stared coldly at the young man who was lying on the ground and walked straight ahead. The young man was lying in front of him. Wang Xian didn't show any intention of moving. He stepped on the young man's face and walked over. A footprint was left on his face. It was clearly visible. This is so strong. Behind him, the students of Grade 1 Class 8 were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Their captain was the strongest student in their class. There were a total of 2 Level 3 extraordinary individuals in Class 8. However, the other Level 3 extraordinary individual was easily defeated by him. However, this young man was actually able to defeat their captain in one move. Such strength. You. What's your name? The captain of Class 8 who was lying on the ground saw Wang Xian stepping on his face. His expression changed drastically. He was the pride of Qiaolin Town. How could he be stepped on by someone? His expression changed drastically. He turned his head with an embarrassed expression and growled at Wang Xian. Wang Xian. Wang Xian heard the voice coming from behind and said faintly, "Stepping on a person's face, one naturally had to leave their name behind. You ambushed me. Just you wait." The young man saw the stunned and shocked gaze of his classmate. His expression changed again as he spoke in a low voice. He provoked the other party first, but he ended up being stepped on and walked over. His dignity as the leader had completely dissipated. He could only say that the other party had launched a sneak attack to reduce the loss of his dignity. Was it really a sneak attack? The situation in his heart. That arrogant young man was really awesome. Leader, so it was that kid who launched a sneak attack. How despicable and shameless. When the students heard his words, they quickly reacted and walked over to help him up. At the same time, they spoke furiously. So the person in the face-smacking young master's mercenary group is Wang Xian. He has some strength. Some of the students from other classes and higher grades saw the scene just now. They mumbled and looked at the back view. It's him. It's really him. He's the young man in the school forum who has a bounty on his head from the young master's mercenary group. This guy is really unlucky. Brother, do you want to beat that kid up? It's 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones. 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones is nothing. However, if I can beat this kid up, I can at least make a name for myself. Before Wang Xian had walked 2,000 meters, 4 to 5 young men walked over from the opposite side and pointed at him. Their voices and actions were not concealed at all. As they pointed at him, they sized him up from head to toe. When Wang Xian saw their actions and heard their conversation, his eyes were filled with impatience. He had already lost a lot of patience when he was provoked repeatedly the moment he entered the school. Wang Xian ignored the 5 people in front of him and walked straight towards the direction where he learned. Let me test his strength. The 5 of them stared at Wang Xian and lined up in a row. A young man dressed in white walked in the middle with a black long sword in his hand. They did not dodge and went straight for Wang Xian. Hey! Interesting. Both parties were 2 meters apart. Seeing that Wang Xian had no intention of dodging, the young man in white curled the corner of his mouth slightly and raised the long sword in his hand slightly. Bang! When both parties were about to collide, the sword hilt in the young man's hand went straight for Wang Xian. Wang Xian did not dodge at all. His strong body was like a ferocious beast as he charged forward. Bang! Oh no! When Wang Xian's body landed on the young man's body, the young man in white's face changed drastically. When his wrist touched the sword hilt, a large amount of blood instantly flowed out. His body charged straight towards the back. Boom! The powerful force caused him to fall heavily onto the ground. He felt as if his internal organs had shifted. Wang Xian continued walking forward expressionlessly. What? What are you doing? Seeing Wang Xian walking straight over, the face of the young man in white changed drastically. He asked with some fear. The 4 young men beside him were a little stunned. When they saw Wang Xian's expressionless face, they shouted immediately, "What are you trying to do?" Wang Xian didn't want to do anything. He walked straight forward. Coincidentally, the young man in white fell on the ground in front of him. Wang Xian stepped on him and continued walking forward without being alarmed. You. The young man in white touched his face with his hand. His expression changed drastically. Just you wait. His expression changed again and again. Finally, he spat out 5 words from his teeth. Wang Xian ignored him and walked towards the learning field of Class 3. On the way, all the new students who passed by looked at Wang Xian curiously and discussed in low voices. The mission given by the young master's mercenary group. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Xian's strength was not weaker than a level 3 extraordinary, many people might have already come up to spar with Wang Xian. Once he was beaten up, not only would he get 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones, he would also be able to make a name for himself. Wang Xian looked at the gazes of the people around him and frowned slightly. Do you really think you are so easy to deal with? For 10,000 spirit stones, and that young master's mercenary group. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. This young master's mercenary group. Sooner or later, he would have to teach them a lesson. When he arrived at Class 3's classroom, Wang Xian walked straight in. Hey! I didn't expect you to really dare to come. Just now, there were quite a few people who came to look for you and wanted to spar with you. Seeing Wang Xian enter, Duan Qingwen raised his head and said gloatingly, "Shut your mouth." Wang Xian heard his words and looked over. He said coldly, "You." Duan Qingwen stood up abruptly and stared at Wang Xian coldly. "Captain, Teacher Yuan is here. Please calm down." A student looked outside and said to him hurriedly, "Chimpate." Duan Qingwen snorted coldly and glared at Wang Xian before sitting down. Wang Xian ignored him and walked to the last seat and sat down. "Everyone, please come out. I will bring you around the academy this afternoon." Teacher Yuan stood at the entrance of the class and said to everyone, "Yes, teacher." The group of students walked out immediately. Wang Xian followed them out as well. "We've wasted another afternoon." When they walked out, it was possible that Teacher Yuan was a woman, so she was more responsible. She brought them around the huge academy and introduced them one by one. Chapter 972 was the best among the new students. There is a huge benefit to joining our Demon Hunter College. In the library of our Demon Hunter College, there is a database. In the database, you can see all the information about the students and instructors of the college doing missions around East Sea City. Some of the landforms and some things to take note of can be seen in the information. You should know that this is the accumulation of our Demon Hunter College over 1,000 years. In addition, you can also record the information in the library. Once the feedback results are correct, you will be rewarded with point. Teacher Yuan brought everyone from Class 3 to the Academy's library and introduced them. Wang Xian looked at the huge library. There were at least a few million books in it. This was the main reason why he came to the Demon Hunter College in the first place. In the Demon Hunter College, one could obtain information that other mercenary groups could not. There were many valuable materials. For the students of the Demon Hunter College, if one wanted to check the information here, they would need to exchange them with points. Following that, Teacher Yuan brought them to the treasure vault of the Demon Hunter College. The treasure vault of the Demon Hunter College contained many treasures. These treasures could be exchanged with a large number of points. Secondly, they could be exchanged with treasures. Wang Xian looked at a portion of the items closely and was extremely surprised. There were even fire spirit pearls of extraordinary level 5. The other types of armor and weapons were in a terrifying amount. According to Teacher Yuan's introduction, the library of the Demon Hunters Academy's treasure vault was extremely valuable in the entire Eastern Sea City. Even the Eastern Sea Academy and the Ocean Academy could not compare to it. Many large mercenary groups in Eastern Sea City used their money to buy information about the Demon Hunters Academy. Moreover, this information was sold at a very high price. There were also some information that wasn't for sale and could only be exchanged by the students of the Demon Hunters Academy. After touring around with Teacher Yuan, Wang Xian felt that joining the Demon Hunters Academy was a wise choice. Tomorrow, your teacher Ma will introduce some things to you and teach you practical combat. When the time comes, there will be a class-to-class competition. Come on time. Around 5 in the afternoon, Teacher Yuan waved to everyone and said his final words. Everyone nodded and left immediately. The students of the Demon Hunters Academy had their own rooms. Each of them had a room. The room was not big, but it was pretty good. Actual combat? Wang Xian nodded his head slightly and walked straight to the back of the academy. That's the guy who provoked the young master's mercenary group yesterday. This guy is doomed. Of course. I asked around today and found out that the young master's mercenary group is very famous in the Demon Hunters Academy. There was once an extraordinary level 5 senior who was punished by the young master's mercenary group and apologized. As he walked towards the attribute training tower, he heard the discussions around him. There were even some people who were considering whether they should go over and spar with him. Wang Xian was also aware of the rules of sparring among the students in the Demon Hunters Academy. When he heard their conversation, he frowned slightly and revealed an unhappy expression. He frowned slightly and ignored them. He went into the attribute training tower, took out a token given to him by Dean Xia, and entered the training room directly. The training room was not big. It was only 3 to 4 square meters in size. There was a seat in the middle. Wang Xian sat cross-legged in the fire attribute training tower and immediately began to absorb the dense fire attribute around him. The speed of my cultivation is slightly slower than the Dragon Palace's, but it's not bad. When waves of spiritual energy surged into his body, Wang Xian thought to himself. He immediately closed his eyes and focused on his cultivation. The time for cultivation passed very quickly. When he opened his eyes, it was already the afternoon of the second day. When he arrived at Class 3's learning field, he realized that there was no one inside. Wang Xian thought for a moment and returned to his residence. Dragon King. Upon seeing Wang Xian, Ao Jian immediately walked over. Dragon King, the group of Draconids will be back tomorrow morning. Oh, the dragon spike has been taken care of? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and walked over with a smile on his face. Yes. According to Long Yi's report, all 3 towns have been dealt with. Ao Jian replied. Yes. Wang Xian nodded. Dragon King. The next morning, the group of Draconids rushed over. Has everything been arranged? Wang Xian asked them directly. Dragon King, everything has been arranged. Lord Ao Yarrow and the rest are currently on an assassination mission. They should be back in 3 days. Long Yi nodded his head. In addition, the spies in Qiaolin Town, Shanghai Town, and the other 3 towns will send us a message through the mother-child communication stone plate once there is a mission. We can receive it directly in Donghai City and have Lord Ao Yarrow and the rest carry out the mission in the 5 towns in front of them. With Donghai City as the main base, we will radiate the 5 towns in the vicinity. Wang Xian nodded slightly. The communication stone tablet of his mother and son did not have a distance limit. It was a long-distance communication device. All right. Currently, there are not many strange demons. When there are more in the future, it will be much more convenient. Wang Xian knocked on the table gently. In the next few days, all of you will develop the spies in the East Sea City. Each district will develop 10 spies. It's the Dragon King. The group of Draconids nodded respectfully. Wang Xian stood up and said, after Ao Yarrow and the rest arrive, we will start to complete the missions. We will work hard to raise the level of the mercenary group, earn spirit stones, and increase our strength. Let's go to the Demon Hunters Academy. It has been almost 3 days since the start of the semester, and we haven't even stayed for a day. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment, smiled, and walked into the Demon Hunters Academy. Are you going to the arena to watch the competition of the new students? I heard that the strongest among the new students will be selected today. This is boring. They are all a bunch of rookies. The strongest one is only at level 3 of the supernatural realm. Aren't you at level 3 of the supernatural realm as well? Let's go and take a look. There might be some strong talents in this batch. Wang Xian entered the academy. Before he reached class 3, he heard the conversation between 2 young men beside him. Freshman competition? He was stunned. No wonder there was no one in the learning field yesterday. It turns out that the freshman competition. Wang Xian looked in the direction where the 2 young men went and followed behind them. There was a huge competition venue in the Demon Hunters Academy. Even if all the students were present, it would be able to fit all of them. When Wang Xian arrived at the entrance of the competition venue, he heard cheers coming from inside. He walked in and what he saw was a slightly skinny young man standing on the stage. He raised both of his hands in excitement. Wang Xian walked in and realized that the instructor inside was walking out instead. Is it over? Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Qin Shan's strength is simply too strong. He defeated Gao Meng within 10 moves. He is almost invincible among those at Transcendent Level 3. He is indeed very strong. He didn't even use his supernatural ability. How awesome. Chapter 973, Provoked. Around them, more than 1,000 new students looked at the young man in the ring with admiration. More than 1,000 new students, 2 days of competition. Qin Shan, with an invincible attitude among the new students, had obtained the achievement of first place among all the new students. Even Gao Meng, who was second place, was far from him. Facing the strongest young man of the same level, everyone had envious expressions on their faces. Some of the girls even excitedly shouted Qin Shan's name, wishing they could immediately marry him. There were very few girls in the Demon Hunters Academy, which made the others even more envious. However, compared to envy, they admired Qin Shan's strength even more. I heard that Qin Shan lives in the East Sea City's slums, North District. TSK, he's really powerful. Don't you know? Not only is Qin Shan powerful, his sister is also very powerful. Look over there, that's his sister, a captain of the Amethyst Mercenary Group. She has the strength of a transcendent Tier 4. I'm impressed. No wonder no one dares to provoke Qin Shan in the Demon Hunters Academy in the future. I'm really envious. With such a powerful sister and her own strength, she might be able to become a powerful expert in the future. The surrounding discussions could be heard once again. At this moment, at a spot not far from the arena, 7 to 8 girls were standing there, attracting the attention of many people. In particular, on the chests of these 7 to 8 girls, there was a badge, the badge of the Amethyst Mercenary Group. An eye-catching gold symbol. The Amethyst Mercenary Group. 8 girls, each more beautiful than the other. The girls who were able to enter the Amethyst Mercenary Group were not pretty. Their strength was not bad, and many of them were even class captains. The girl standing in the middle was dressed in black, giving off a special kind of energy. Dressed in black, She also gave off a special kind of temptation. Many boys would glance at her from time to time. Qin Qing, your brother is even more powerful than you. He reached the peak of Transcendence Level 3 at such a young age, and he even received the title of first grade leader. It's a pity that our Amethyst mercenary group doesn't recruit boys. Otherwise, we would definitely recruit him, a woman in red beside Qin Qing said to her with a smile on her face. My younger brother has been working hard since he was young. He has suffered more than me. The reason he has the ability is all because of his hard work, Qin Qing said with a smile and a trace of pride on her face. That's because brother Qin Shan has good talent. It's useless to just work hard without talent, another girl hurriedly added. That's right, that's right. Why don't we go to the East Wind Pavilion to celebrate later? A male voice suddenly came from the side. The young man was dressed in luxurious brocade clothes with a fan hanging on his waist and a badge hanging on his chest. Young Masters Mercenary Group. At this moment, he said to Qin Qing in a fawning manner. There's no need. Qin Qing heard the young man's words and frowned slightly. She directly rejected him. It's fine, Qin Qing. It won't cost much. Look at how skinny Qin Shan is. I'll bring him to eat some good food to nourish himself, the young man said again. There's no need. I can give him whatever he wants. He can also obtain it through his own hard work. Qin Qing shook her head and smiled at her younger brother on the arena once again. Wang Xian stood at the entrance and looked at the lively arena. He was the strongest person in the first grade with the strength of a level 3 extraordinary. In his opinion, it was like a bunch of noobs pecking at each other. He wasn't interested in it at all. He wasn't interested in the entire Demon Hunter College's competition, let alone the first grade competition. He could definitely punch a kid one punch at a time. Heh, it's him. That's true. I heard his name is Wang Xian. Why didn't I see him during the competition these 2 days? Just as Wang Xian was about to leave, a student from the class was about to leave when he happened to see him standing at the door. The group of more than 100 people was slightly taken aback. Soon after, they started to discuss among themselves. Captain, do you want to spar with him? If we beat him up, we can still get 10,000 middle-tier spirit stones, a female student said to the young man standing at the center. Let's forget about it this time. I was hit in the chest just now, and I haven't recovered yet. I need to rest for a while. When I recover, I'll definitely spar with him. The young man waved his hand and said with a smile. Haha, the captain is the third strongest person in the first grade. It's easy to teach him a lesson. The girl threw a flirtatious glance and said with a smile. Haha, of course. The young man laughed proudly. Wang Xian looked at them with a hint of coldness in his eyes. In the past 2 days, as long as he came to the academy, many people would come to provoke him. This made him a little annoyed. It's Wang Xian. He hasn't been here for 2 days. I didn't expect this fellow to come now. The hundreds of people suddenly stopped and looked outside. This attracted the attention of the people from Class 3. When they saw Wang Xian, they were astonished. They were very curious about this student who had skipped school for 3 days and caused such a big incident as soon as he entered the academy. Wang Xian, you even know to come to the academy. Are you afraid that the people from the Young Masters Mercenary Group would come to take revenge on you? Is that why you didn't dare to come over for the past 2 days? Duan Qingwen said to Wang Xian mockingly. Who? The student who provoked the Young Masters Mercenary Group? It's really him. He offended the young man from the Young Masters Mercenary Group as soon as he entered the school. Duan Qingwen's words instantly caused more people to look over. When they saw Wang Xian, they were astonished. That guy. Let me go and take a look. The young man who had been standing beside Qin Qing and the other girls heard the commotion. He raised his eyebrows and spoke to them before walking forward. It's the young man who embarrassed Young Masters Mercenary Group. If it's interesting, let's go and take a look too. A girl tugged at Qin Qing and the others' clothes and followed behind them. The group of people walked towards the door. Even Qin Shan, who was standing on the stage, looked towards Wang Xian. In an instant, everyone's attention was on him. Everyone looked curiously at the man of the moment among the new students. Wang Xian looked at everyone who was looking at him. He narrowed his eyes slightly and a hint of coldness flashed across his face. It seemed that there were some matters that needed to be resolved. There were too many lice and they needed to be cleaned up. Hehe, little friend, you were the one who didn't give face to our young master's mercenary group that day, right? At this moment, a voice came from behind. The group of new students gathered at the front quickly made way for him. The young man in embroidered clothes from the young master's mercenary group walked in with a smile on his face. He stared at Wang Xian with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Wang Xian looked at the young man who walked over and narrowed his eyes slightly. His gaze landed on the badge on his chest and a hint of coldness appeared on his face. So, he's from a useless mercenary group. Chapter 974, Number 1 among the freshmen, useless. Go! So it was someone from the useless mercenary group. When Wang Xian's words rang out, the surrounding discussions quieted down. Everyone stared at Wang Xian with their mouths agape. Even the smile on the face of the young man from the young master's mercenary group froze. If he didn't enter the academy before, he didn't know that the young master's mercenary group could still say that the freshmen were fearless and that those who didn't know were innocent. But now, he had already entered the academy, and in front of thousands of people, he directly said that the young master's mercenary group was a useless mercenary group. That was a blatant insult. Everyone's gaze turned towards the young master's mercenary group's young man in embroidered clothes. They weren't the little white people of the past. In 3 days, they had a detailed understanding of some of the mercenary groups in the Demon Hunters Academy. To dare to call them trash in front of the members of the young master's mercenary group, the result was. The young man in embroidered clothes saw that all the new students were looking at him, and his expression kept changing. If they couldn't teach this kid a painful lesson in the future, their young master's mercenary group would become a complete joke among the new student. Pa pa pa. The young man in embroidered clothes slowly walked towards Wang Xian. As he stepped on the ground, he let out a crisp sound and revealed a cold expression. Kid, do you want to die? All right, I'll grant your wish. As he spoke, he swept his gaze across everyone behind him and shouted loudly, Today, as a member of the young master's mercenary group, I will issue a mission. Beat this kid up for 20,000 middle-grade spiritual stones. Cripple 1 arm for 50,000 middle-grade spiritual stones. 2 arms for 100,000 middle-grade spiritual stones. 4 limbs for 200,000 middle-grade spiritual stones. Anyone who can complete the task can come directly to our young master's mercenary group to collect the spirit stones. You don't have to worry about our reputation. As the young man spoke, he slowly turned his head and stared at Wang Xian again. His gaze was cold as he said, Kid, I'm going to make sure that you can't stay in the Demon Hunters Academy anymore. In the future, the Demon Hunters Academy will be hell for you. What the fuck? He gave you 20,000 middle-grade spirit stones after a beating and 50,000 for a crippled arm. This is way too rich. Fuck. If I crippled a limb of this kid, I would be able to buy more than a dozen elixirs. This guy is done for. However, it shouldn't be too much of a problem if he is a little more careful. After all, if the seniors want to fight with him, they have to obtain his consent. Unless, there is someone among us freshmen who can cripple him. Cripple him? I reckon that there aren't many freshmen who can do so. This fellow is very strong. The surrounding students immediately went into an uproar. 200,000 middle-grade spirit stones was enough to purchase dozens of transcendent grade 2 pills. Even grade 3 pills were enough to purchase quite a few. Giving them 200,000 middle-grade spirit stones was enough to fully equip them. Many of the students were tempted. Some of the class leaders were even hesitating whether they should make a move or not. Wang Xian looked at the young man in embroidered clothes. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. Then, he looked at the students around him who were eager to give it a try. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. Why? Does someone want these spirit stones? He glanced at everyone arrogantly and said coldly, Haha, of course I want them. 200,000 middle-grade spiritual stones. TSK, I don't have so many spiritual stones even if I complete some silver level 3 to 4 missions. 4 to 5 young men beside Wang Xian laughed out loud as soon as he finished his words. Others might not agree if you guys came to spar with this new student. 3 to 4 young men spoke to them after they finished their words. Sigh, what a pity. We can only stay here and watch the show. They chatted and laughed as a hint of passion flashed in their eyes. They wanted to spar with Wang Xian and cripple his limbs as well. However, due to the age restriction and the academy's rules, the other party could reject their challenge. If they were of the same level, they couldn't reject their challenge unless they admitted defeat. I'll do it. Senior of the Young Masters mercenary group, I'm here to accept your mission. A young man walked out from the front of Class 5's group of students and said with a smile, "Let me do it." The leader of Class 5, the strongest student of Class 5, walked out with a twinkle in his eyes. However, he had just taken 2 steps when another voice sounded. When this voice rang out, everyone was stunned. The voice came from the arena. Everyone looked over and revealed a look of astonishment. Qin Shan is actually going to make a move. He's going to cripple that kid. Qin Shan's family background isn't that good to begin with. These 200,000 spirit stones are still relatively precious to him. If Qin Shan makes a move, that Wang Xian is going to be finished. This is going to be interesting. I didn't expect that the strongest first-grade student would want to deal with him. The surrounding students revealed a look of surprise. They looked at the strongest first-grade student who was standing proudly on the stage and then looked at Wang Xian below. A mocking expression appeared on their faces. Xiao Shan. Qin Qing saw that her younger brother was about to come out. She frowned slightly and shouted at Qin Shan. "It's all right, sister. If I don't cripple his limbs, others will cripple him too." A confident smile appeared on Qin Shan's face. "Haha, if younger brother Qin Shan wants to cripple that kid, I'll ask Young Masters mercenary group to give you 400,000 mid-grade spirit stone." Seeing that Qin Shan was about to make a move, the young man in embroidered clothes in front of him had a thought and shouted loudly. He turned his head and smiled at Qin Qing in an attempt to curry favor. He directly raised the spirit stones to 400,000 spirit stones. Firstly, he could cripple that brat immediately. Secondly, he could curry favor with Qin Qing. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All right. A fiery look flashed across Qin Shan's eyes as he stared at Wang Xian. He slowly extended his hand and hooked his finger. "Come on up. Let me see what kind of strength you have. You came to say that the Young Masters mercenary group is useless. If you don't have the strength, then you're out of luck." As Qin Shan spoke, he stared coldly at Wang Xian. "Come on up. You want to cripple my limbs?" Wang Xian looked at Qin Shan on the stage and asked coldly. "You can cripple it yourself," Qin Shan said calmly with a face full of confidence. "Cool. As expected of the leader of all the students in our first grade. His boldness is awesome. Regardless of whether it's strength or temperament, Qin Shan is very powerful. Haha, with Qin Shan's strength, it should be easy for him to cripple that Wang Xian." When the surrounding people heard Qin Shan's reply, admiration appeared on their faces. Wang Xian sneered in his heart. He moved his body and flew directly to the arena. "You asked for it," he said faintly. "Hee hee." Qin Shan smiled confidently and made a hand gesture. "Xiao Shan, be careful." Qin Qing looked at Qin Shan on the stage and reminded him with a frown. "Go, Qin Shan, go, Qin Shan, you're the best. Cripple him." Below, a group of girls were shouting and cheering without holding back. The corner of Qin Shan's mouth curled up slightly and he said proudly, "I'll let you make the first move.